What is going on, everybody? It is episode 393 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I have two fantastic guest co-hosts with me today. In front of me, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Taylor Silverman. I'm back in the PCC studio to help out with guest hosting today. And alongside me is...
I'm Wesley Roth. I am the co-producer of Cast Castle. Happy to be here.
I never know what to say when they say that, because like when I mention this show, I don't know whether I'm supposed to say like host or producer, because you do kind of both, but like which one is more important?
Yeah.
You doing okay, Blair?
I am.
Good? All right, man. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. Oh, by the way, Mary had some traveling delays. She will be back as soon as possible, so go send her a message. Tell her you miss her on Twitter at Mary Archives. You can go do that there. We got a bunch of stuff we're going to discuss today. So if you didn't know, in the last couple of years, definitely since 2016, there have been these claims that people are alt-right, that they're going to call you names on the internet, they're going to insult you, they're going to say all these things, usually in relation to politics. But would you believe me if I said that now Taylor Swift fans are being painted with that same brush by a journalist? According to this writer, this article on Inside, this guy saying that Taylor Swift fans doxed and harassed and gave him death threats because he dared criticize Taylor Swift's Eras tour, which is absolutely bonkers, but somehow completely believable at the same time. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a former Bond girl named Britt Eklund, who has some statements and some thoughts on the fact that you really can't be a Bond girl anymore because of the Me Too movement, because of political correctness. She says that certainly the actresses in the current era may get treated better, but she thinks that the movies made back then were more fun. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about J.K. Rowling. She has gotten in on the debate on Twitter along with Elon Musk over the term cis. It fits into our culture here because J.K. Rowling is never, if not, she's never ever quiet when she has an opinion on something. She's going to share that with you. I have some interesting thoughts on whether it's weird to see her and Elon Musk ideologically aligned in any way, shape, or form, just because it just doesn't seem like the type of thing. Like, I imagine they disagree with each other on a great many things. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about accusations that Warner Brothers used. They bought positive reviews for The Flash, and after seeing the movie, I liked it, but I could see that being a thing, right? Like, it was certainly bolstered by a bunch of celebrities, at least here in the West. The article we're going to talk about is talking about The Flash and Warner Brothers in China, but there was certainly a lot of celebrities who spoke on this that just didn't seem like they would ever, like, what does Tom Cruise care about The Flash? You know what I'm talking about. Like, did you actually imagine he had anything to say on The Flash?
No.
No one did. So we're going to talk about that. We got a bunch of other stuff. So if you guys are ready, we will just get right into it. Taylor, are we ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Ready?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, sure. Why not? All right, let's get into it. First things first, guys. Tenoch Huerta, the Namor, not Namor, Namor, the Submariner, he has pulled out of a Netflix project because of the accusations that are currently against him. It says Black Panther Wakanda Forever actor Tenoch Huerta has dropped out of upcoming Netflix Fiesta La Madriguera, because of the accusations against him, and he pulled out himself. So it says, news of Huerta's departure comes a few weeks after musician and activist Maria Elena Rios accused Huerta of sexual assault. Huerta has denied these claims. This is his statement now. It says, given the impact of the recent false statements by Maria Elena Rios and the damage they have caused, I have had no choice but to withdraw from participating in the film. It is with great sadness that I do this, but I cannot allow her actions to harm not only me, but also the work of dozens of talented and hardworking people involved in the project. My focus now is simple: continue the process of restoring my reputation. This is a tale as old as time in Hollywood right now, and one of the hardest parts about talking about this stuff is, like, outside of a video proving that this happened, you can't prove a negative and you can't prove that this happened. So what do? You kind of just have to either be nonpartisan and not take a side, or you hitch your ride to one of these people and say, yes, I believe her, or yes, I believe him. That's not verifiably proven, but what we can prove is that work is being lost now, right? Mm-hmm. So if this ends up being something that can't be proven in a court of law later, does he have grounds for a libel or for a lawsuit? Because this seems like he's actually provably losing work, but maybe not, because he's the one pulling out, not Netflix kicking him out, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. Every one of these stories that comes across, you try to think what can the standard be to where there is action or where there is, or whether you as the consumer should take like personal action, like vote with your dollar. But like, it's interesting how this what's the other, Jonathan Majors.
Jonathan Majors. He was just in court yesterday.
Yeah.
With his new girlfriend, Megan Good, and they claimed that it was NYPD racism. And certainly based on the notes that the lawyer leaked, it did seem like the cops were a bit lame. We're not exactly like on the up and up, but we'll have to see. Like, that wasn't body cam footage. It was their interpretation of what they said they saw.
Right. These are just so weird. Like I said, a standard, it's impossible. This is an impossible type of thing to put a standard on because it's such a nebulous thing. Like I think the quintessential example of this is Ezra Miller.
Yeah.
Like, that there's a lot of verifiable things there, but it's interesting because that is one of the only cases that you can actually see verifiable evidence that something, or there's a pattern of behavior, yet it's handled so differently.
Yeah.
That's what I find interesting about these, is like how every single one of them plays out is so different.
To be fair, he's not being removed from the Marvel projects. He's just being,
right.
It's a Netflix project and he's taking himself out.
Well, I get when I say handle's probably the wrong word.
Yeah.
More like the perspective on them, or the public opinion on them. Like, it seems to me like people, like consumers, are like,
they just don't care anymore.
They just don't care anymore.
Like, that's like, we went and saw The Flash. Like, Mary was even saying, she's like, I want to see Aquaman out of sheer like morbid curiosity about seeing Amber Heard in it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm over it. Like, I disagree with everything that Amber Heard was proven to be doing,
right.
but I'm still going to go see the movie. I disagree with everything Ezra Miller did.
Yeah.
We still went and reviewed the movie.
Yeah.
It's like we as a society have just gotten very, 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 like, it's like a scab that's healed over,
Yep.
and you've just learned to just put up with it.
Yep. Yeah, and like they're like, my perspective on it has always been, they're not the only person who made that movie, and so like it's damaging to hundreds, if not thousands, of people.
Yeah.
And like that should fall on the shoulders of the person who is the star of the movie, or a large part of the movie. And there should be some awareness that comes to people in positions like that, that you're not invincible. But it's so, like, I feel so numb to it now.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay,
You've
Has
heard
there-
it so many times
Yeah.
at this point.
yeah, and it's not even like I'm like, I don't believe any of them, because many of them I do.
There's
Yep.
just,
It's Hollywood.
when there's no
There's-
evidence, it's you're
Yeah.
picking a side based on his story versus hers, and
Right.
especially in cases where they're said to have been in a relationship, which he said that they were in a long-term relationship. Did she say that?
They were.
Okay,
At
they
least, I
were,
mean, I think long term,
officially.
I think they said over a year or
Okay.
something like that was what I read. Like, is this something that would affect your desire to go see or watch some type of product? Like, like knowing that a person is accused of something but not proven?
Not necessarily if it's something I'm really interested in. Like Wesley said, this is one person involved in a huge team of people creating a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like every single person, like every fraction of a frame was somebody's work for months or a year, like, and that still deserves to be recognized. Like,
I remember there was when the really bad 2018 Predator movie came out that nobody liked but me. There was like a guy who had like one scene with Olivia Munn, who I guess,
Right,
do you remember
right,
that?
right,
Like,
yeah.
who was accused of some like crazy
Yeah,
stuff. And like everyone's like, I remember a lot of the sentiment was like, we were already jaded by that point because people were like, well, at least it wasn't like one of the main stars of the movie. And I was like, holy crap. Like, we just, as a society, we've kind of just given up because anybody can say anything.
Yeah.
It might be true. It might not be true. It's not an endorsement of the behavior if it is true. It's a tacit admission that, look, I don't know and I can't know, but I still want to be entertained. And that's, I mean, it's not helping The Flash right now at all. Like, The
No.
Flash is doing very, very poorly at the box office. So, like, I can't think of
that's probably
anything.
more attributable. That's probably not attributed to like people not liking Ezra Miller, though. That's probably attributable to people being like, well, this movie doesn't matter.
Yeah, because the whole universe is going to be reset anyways. That's funny too, because I was talking to someone and I said, we have to become cognizant of what in this realm, like, at least when I talk about this stuff every day, there is such a thing as terminally online. Normal people don't know who Ezra Miller is, nor do they care, nor do they know about the accusations against him, outside of maybe, I heard he was accused of something, I don't really know, I've got a job and a family, I don't really have time to be thinking about this stuff. I don't know how much it ends up affecting like the box office. Maybe it did, but it just doesn't seem like the type of thing that the average everyday mom and dad looking to take their kids to the movies are going to be aware of or care about, because they've got bigger fish to fry. There's just more important things to do in your life than worry about the actions of one really, really bad person in a sea of really, really bad people in an industry that's known for being bad.
Yeah, and it gets even further complicated with the politics of whoever it's happening to. So if it's Ezra Miller,
I'm still shocked that this is happening to Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, but my point is, like, if let's say this guy, like, depending on where he falls in some sort of political spectrum, that will flavor how the media covers it, which covers how, or which will adapt or not. What am I trying to say? Influence how people talk about it online.
And he's part of like a group, like a group of activists in Mexico that are combating racism in Mexico. So he's like, when you go look at old interviews of him, whether it was on Jimmy Kimmel or you know, like all the late night shows, all of the comments end up being like, not only is he a great actor, but also he's fighting for these great causes. You know, whatever you think of the activist narrative, it is what it is. People attach that to who he is.
Yeah.
So it ends up being relevant when he's looking for a little bit of armor against these type of accusations. But we also know that plenty of bad people tie themselves to good causes to shield themselves from criticism because of their bad actions that they're trying to keep from the public.
Right.
So I don't know. Like, this is one of those things where, like, what do you do if you're Marvel? Do you get rid of him? Do you recast him? Do you just keep the guy around and hope that the story disappears by then? Or do you just accept that maybe people just don't care anymore?
Well, if I was Marvel, I'd say the movie was bad and I wouldn't use him again. So.
Well, you know, like if they ever make Namor the movie, like, and he could be like Namor, like, and he won't be, maybe what they do.
Maybe he won't be Namor no more.
That's what it says, like, no more Mr. Nice Guy.
No more
Mr. Nice Guy. But like if you're them and they, like, this is the great thing that they have behind them. It's the worst thing about creativity now is they can write themselves out of anything now. It's annoying, but they can be like, the multiverse. He's gone. Why does he look different? Cause doesn't matter, and then you go with whatever happens. So we'll see what happens with this guy. I can't make any definitive statement as to whether he's guilty or innocent. Certainly, it's an industry full of people who are guilty of crimes like that, but it's also an industry that has incentivized people to make claims that call it out when it's not real. So what do you do? All right, guys, before we continue, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. If you have any super chats, $20 and over, we will interrupt the discussion. We will read them right then and there. Then we will do our very best to get back on topic. I'd like to think we've been doing better with that lately. So let us continue, shall we? All right. What do you think about this Oliver Stone thing, huh? Oliver Stone has choice words about John Wick 4. Thoughts? Did you see what he said? He said
it's
what
he said, but I haven't seen John Wick 4.
He says it's disgusting beyond belief, and he says as a military veteran, he goes he kills people. He kills like 300 to 400 people in the most ridiculous of ways. And he says, I saw John Wick 4 on a plane. Talk about volume. I think the film is disgusting beyond belief, he said. I don't know what people are thinking. Maybe I was watching G.I. Joe when I was a kid, but Keanu kills, 300-400 people in that effing movie? And then as a combat veteran, I have to tell you, not a single one of them is believable. I realize it's a movie, but it's become a video game more than a movie. See, the thing is, guys, if this was, if we were in the middle of, where did it go here? There we go. If this same director was talking about Marvel movies, everybody would be cheering him on, and everybody would be saying, "Yeah, he's so right. Marvel movies are basically." Who was it? Somebody said Marvel movies are roller coasters. I think that was Martin Scorsese. Right? Like it would be the same thing, right? He would. People would be saying it, but they'd have a different take. They'd be saying, "Yeah, screw Marvel," but because people like John Wick and people like Keanu Reeves, I think people will take the opposite perspective on this.
Perhaps I haven't seen John Wick Chapter 4, but I have seen John Wick Chapter 3, and that's sort of how I felt about that movie, like moving into the realm of like fantasy. It's a fantasy movie at this point.
I mean, he falls off a building and survives.
Right, but like he goes into the middle of the desert and like there's magic essentially, and that's okay. That's cool. Like, do your thing.
They've got coins that aren't regulated by the Federal Reserve. Totally unrealistic. Are you kidding me, guys?
I think anytime I go into the fourth movie, I don't have that high of expectations.
Really? Yeah.
Unless it's
Yeah.
Phantasm.
Unless it's Fast and the Furious. Are you kidding me?
I
Unless
guess
it's
there are
Phantasm.
some Phantasm. I'm not saying that they're all great, but I can watch all of them. I like Phantasm.
Or
we
it's-
have to watch Phantasm 3 next.
Yeah.
We just finished 2.
Yeah. He has a point, I would say.
Yeah.
But you're allowed to like that.
Yeah.
You're allowed to like it.
You are. No one's going to stop you. And he's right. It is like it's lost touch with reality, but who cares? Like
It's a movie.
I don't go to movies to like I am over gritty and real. I don't care anymore.
I feel
I
like
want fake.
The whole point is to take a break from reality when you go see a movie.
You would think so,
I think
right?
different movies can have different intended effects upon
Yeah.
you. Like you can go to a movie and be like, this felt incredibly real and powerful, depending on what the subject matter is. But John Wick, if you're like, that just didn't feel like my everyday life. Like, that's a problem.
My favorite is,
went into this wrong.
That's good if it doesn't feel like your everyday life.
When honest trailers would point out like it's not so much that it's just unrealistic. He goes, it's the headshots from obscene distances with handguns,
Yeah.
which are completely unrealistic. Not even long barrels. And he's like, yeah, I don't think he's getting a guy from that many yards with a Glock 17. I just
Right.
don't. It's really really funny. Also, it's like somebody was saying like all of the new ones have just become like advertisements for Terran Tactical. Like in a lot of ways, a lot of the weapons.
Yeah.
But look,
I can't believe they haven't turned into a franchise.
the
Terran Tactical.
I know, right? Like well,
just-
they still could.
Yeah.
End up doing that later. But they work with all the celebrities. I mean, did you see the one with multiple Punishers?
No, I
with
didn't.
with Bernthal and who's not Ray Stevenson, but
Thomas Jane.
yeah, like that one. That one was great. R.I.P. Ray Stevenson, though, for sure. Look, he's not wrong, but I do think that a part of it is just that like people like John Wick and they don't like Marvel, so the comparison won't hit for them the same way. Was there a point in time when you checked out of Marvel movies? Was there a specific time? Oh, before we answer that, there's a $20 super chat there from Gray Jedi Outcast. Says, Brett, you should do a review of the animated Justice League and Justice League Unlimited series. I keep seeing clips of it, and I'm reminded of how great and thought-provoking it was, even for a kid's show. Yes. First of all, yes. After seeing the trailer for Blue Beetle, when you hear the Batman is a fascist line, and it reminds me of the introduction to Blue Beetle in Justice League Unlimited, like, come on. Like, we need more of the animated. Like, DC does far better in the world of animated than they do in the world of live action, that is for sure. Okay, and one more $20 one from Because Reasons says, can I complain about Alien not being real enough? This guy complaining about John Wick can shut up. Well, you can complain about that. See, the thing is, though, is what John Wick did really, really well is they built it off of a realistic premise and made it gradually more ridiculous as it went on. Like, when it started off, it gave hints to the unique aspects, right? Like the coins and the fact that there's a hotel for assassins. That's ridiculous, but not outside the realm of possibility.
It's graphic novel territory.
But then when you get to the end of the second one and everyone in New York is looking for him and he's in Central Park and everyone in Central Park is an assassin, you've now stretched the bounds of believability a little bit farther and it's just gotten more so, but they've done it in a way that's done really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, like, I will say nobody said this about Wanted, which is a movie about curving bullets.
I love Wanted.
Yeah,
I love Wanted. I love Salt. I love all those movies.
They're not dissimilar in what they aim to do. But the thing that I'll say John Wick did better than any of them is that it's really enjoyable. Like all of it, it's beautiful to look at. It's beautiful to listen to. The people that
I think
act
they have,
in it are pleasing. Like,
I think there's a little bit of Zack Snyder syndrome with the action scenes. Like they don't want to cut. They like the last one. I mean, there's like 30 minutes. Like okay, I watched Extraction 2. It's freaking awesome. Extraction
Isn't
2
there
is
like a 25-minute scene.
But the thing is, it's 25 minutes. It's 21 minutes, right? Okay. But it's the one main action scene. It's a one-take action scene. I looked for the cuts. I mean, there's a couple of the more obvious ones, but they're much, much later. But most of the scene inside the prison is so well stitched together that you can't even tell where the cuts are coming from. But it's one long action scene in the rest of a movie where there's a bunch of action, but there aren't a bunch of other 21-minute long action scenes throughout the movie. There's more action. There's a ton more action, but it's more accurately or more pleasingly distributed throughout the film. It never lets up. right? But
yeah,
they
shows the way to
started to
watch.
go a little bit long with these in that I think there's a little bit of Zack Snyder syndrome there where they could cut back on it a little bit. But I don't go to them for the story.
See, I think you can have both. Like if you have that story, you have those stakes that you care about, all of those things land better.
Exactly.
And I think the first John Wick is still the best John
Yes.
Wick.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's because it keeps it at a really ground level.
Yeah.
It doesn't go too crazy, but it pushes it to the point to where you're like, this feels like it might not be real, but it is.
Yeah.
And then there's really, really clear emotional stakes. Like you're very, very clear on why he's doing this. Everybody around has a motivation that is.
Everyone mentions the dog, but they don't
Right.
mention the fact that it's because the dog was a gift from his wife.
Right.
Like that's.
But that's
that-
like a double.
It's layered and
yeah,
it
it's layered.
fits.
And then like Willem Dafoe's character has a reason for doing the things he's doing. The bad guys have the bad guy has a reason for doing the thing he's doing with a perspective on it that's unique and interesting. But that all dissolves, in my opinion, in 2 and 3. It just becomes more about getting more in there, which is great. It's great to look at, but you lose something with it.
Yeah.
You lose a through line that makes it feel satisfying in the end.
I agree.
I think a lot of people just love Keanu Reeves and
They
are
do.
going to watch it and enjoy it simply because of that.
Yes, but that didn't work out for The Matrix.
The last minute, it was
Yeah,
so
last one,
bad.
yeah.
It
It's
was-
bad and people.
It was
yeah.
so bad. Like
It's
even
hard to
me,
watch.
I only like the first Matrix.
Yeah.
you know what
I
it
like
was.
the others, but
What really crushed me
What?
is they abandoned the color scheme of the Matrix
Yeah.
and went the typical blue, yellow Hollywood route that I'm so
well,
sick of.
It looked more like TV.
One of the
It looked
reasons
like a
I
Netflix
loved
original.
Yeah, one of the reasons I loved Extraction is they go with like an almost washed out sepia tone that seems to avoid that cliched Hollywood color scheme. Because I was really worried
almost
that we
like
were going to end up with
war.
I was worried that we were going to end up with the other stuff that the Russo brothers are doing, which is everything is really, really like faded. Like I really hate that desaturated look that all of their productions have. Like I'm really, really sick of it. Like all the things in The Gray Man, all the stuff in Citadel is one of the worst things. Like a lot of people hate that I dunk on it so much, but I gave up after 2 episodes because it's just infuriating how like if you're going to make something that boilerplate, it better at least look interesting. It doesn't look interesting.
I think that look can be done really well, but it has become like a tag-on filter where there's movies like, I don't know if you ever saw The International with Clive Owen, really good, highly recommend it.
Wesley recommends.
Yeah, well, but it's just a really fine desaturated look that gives it fits the movie thematically. Like it feels like a sterile world.
Yeah.
Sort of like Gattaca or something like that. But if you're just putting it on there because it's like, this looks good, in my opinion, you have to have some reason, and you have to add something to it. It has to have something unique that sets it apart from the last thing. Whereas now everything will look like John Wick.
Yeah.
Everything will have the blue and purple neon lights because that's what is popular right now. I know it just happens. Everything will look like The Dark Knight for 5 minutes. Everything will look like Terminator Salvation for 5 minutes. So.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. All right, guys, let us move on. I had this story specific for Bertman because Bertman was possibly going to be here today. Afroman has been detained and ticketed for weed in Canada, guys. I'm sorry. Like I really wanted him to, they're from the same town. So, yes, he is being detained. I don't know if this will affect his presidential run because I know that Afroman is running for president.
Wait, Afroman is running for president?
He is running for president.
For what party?
The weed party. I have no idea. Like he had an announcement video. It was really, really funny. But like, remember, like he got like cops like raided his house last year and like were looking for hard drugs. And I don't know why you'd go looking for hard drugs at Afroman's house, but they were.
It
and they
seems
didn't
like
find any.
he's pretty clear on his drug of choice.
So hopefully he doesn't get prosecuted. Because I want this guy to be a strong third-party contender. You know, maybe him and RFK. We'll have him and RFK run together as independents.
So is it legal in any areas in Canada?
I don't.
Like the
I do
way
not
it is
know
in
what
some
the weed.
states in America?
Do we have any Canadians? Do we have any frostbacks?
Canadians in the chat.
Frostbacks in the chat. Is weed legal there? I have no idea. Let us know, and then we can, whatever the answer is, we'll still blame, what's
I
his
met
name?
Afroman. Nice
Yeah.
guy.
You did?
Yeah.
When?
2012 at a bar called Q in Chicago.
Okay. What did you talk about?
Oh, we didn't talk very long. He was performing there, and then he came down and like did a meet and greet. He was
Oh,
a nice
cool.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, see, would you vote for him?
No.
No, well, that's just wrong. You gotta vote for them based on things that about people you like. You shouldn't vote based on policy.
Oh.
Somebody's gonna clip that.
Great advice.
So isn't that great advice? That's fantastic. All right, guys. Andrew Tate has offered to train Elon Musk if he is in fact going to get in the ring with Mark Zuckerberg. He should, because if you haven't seen the videos of Zuckerberg fighting, it's actually pretty impressive. So he's going to need a trainer. So he's going to need Cobra to get in the ring and train him on how to fight. Thoughts?
This is the decline of Western
I know, right?
civilization.
I love it. It's my favorite part. Like, it's like every day the world becomes more and more unserious, and I'm kind of here for it. Like, it doesn't bother me. If the world wants to be an unserious place, the world wants to be an unserious place. But
it only adds value to my level of seriousness.
Exactly. There's more weight there.
High level of seriousness over at Cass Castle.
Yeah, we take things very seriously here.
My work and my personal life are very different.
Yes.
But who are you guys putting your money on?
Oh, Zuckerberg.
Oh, really?
Zuckerberg. Oh, yeah. Like, if for no other fact than he's an alien, and you probably can't defeat an alien. Like,
maybe.
Probably what it is. Like, even if they allowed weapons, it's probably like cloaked reptilian skin, so you can't actually penetrate it with human weapons.
I don't know. I think I'd bet on Elon.
You're betting on,
even if he's considered the underdog.
So Andrew Tate says, Meta banned me everywhere for telling the truth about vaccines, but now we can restore honor with a strike at the enemy clan's leader. I will train you, Elon Musk. You will not lose. I love it. Oh, we have it's a $27.99 super chat. That is 20, I believe, in Canadian, whatever it is. It says from Dave Gazzulli, who's a good friend of the channel. He says, weed has been medically legal for a while and recreational legal for a few years, as well it should be. Hey, I'm with you 110%. Like, I don't know why would he have gotten stopped then, because he was trying to cross the border with it. So being legal and transporting it over sovereign borders is probably the issue here.
Interesting.
Because being legal doesn't mean you can transport it illegally.
Yeah. Or maybe like growing it.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, one of the reasons to legalize
the details
it,
of the law.
One of the reasons to legalize it is it allows them to clamp down and be the ones who are taking a cut of everything that gets sold, right?
Tax it.
So yeah, like, okay, what do you think? Like, if Elon and him fought, like, what is their strategy? I feel like Zuckerberg is ground and pound. And maybe Elon becomes a submission dude.
I think you're right.
Does that seem right to you?
That's a good reflection of their how they handle things as business people as well.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like, we end up with like Zuckerberg is stuck in a rear naked choke.
Like, Zuckerberg buys all the things that compete with him, whereas it was a long, arduous process for Elon to get Twitter. It was like a submission until they tapped out. Like, fine, it's yours. So, like, it makes sense.
Let's say it's kind of like, so then Bob Iger would be the same. Bob Iger would just buy it rather than, so if Bob Iger was fighting you, he would just try to knock you out. Yeah. Like, that was like, I had a thing the other day where I was talking about like,
would Bob Iger be the one who would pay you to take a fall?
Yeah. That's even better. Back in the day, he would have been fixing boxing matches. I'm kind of here for it. Like, I want to see this fight. And now in the age now that we live in now, where like boxing is becoming like a sport for famous people, right? Like exhibition boxing is a thing that people now watch for entertainment. We're literally re-entering gladiator phases in society again.
Like, here we are,
right? Like, where we get to watch like celebrity deathmatch no longer sustains us as a culture. We can't watch the little cartoons of them doing.
Funny enough, that always preceded the fall of an empire.
Funny how that works, right? It's almost like all of it's lining up, and we are just kind of slowly failing as a society. But I'm still like, I don't want to put my money on Zuckerberg, but I just feel like he would be the scrappier one who has been around longer, and he seems more eager to want to get in the ring with him.
Yeah. I won't lie, my morbid curiosity would want to see this happen. I don't for a second believe it ever will.
No.
But
imagine the insurance policy you'd have to run that fight.
Yeah.
Like, people worth that much money.
Also, would it be streamed live on Twitter or Facebook?
More
importantly.
Dual stream. Well, no. What if they picked a third party and they had Rumble do it? No. Like, who would be the third party? They could have it. Zuckerberg could reopen. He could buy Vine and reopen Vine and stream it on Vine. In 15-second increments.
They would stream it on Justin TV.
They'd have to be just short clips.
Justin TV.
Like, in 15-second increments, you have to buy each clip. Each 15 seconds is like 5 pennies is like 5 cents, and you have to buy them as
What's
it happens.
sad is people would buy them.
Probably. I'd be down to watch this. It would be fantastic. Plus, it's like it's kind of cathartic. Like everybody who's ever been banned from Zuckerberg for something. So all the people who've been banned by Zuckerberg who are like, I can't believe that you didn't let me say this during the 2016 election. They're like watching him get punched and they're really excited. All the people Zuckerberg's banning for saying cis are going to get happy every time he gets hit. Everybody wins. Everybody wins in this match. I really think we need to go ahead and do it. It's going to be fantastic. All right, guys, let us move on. I want to talk for a few minutes about the Titanic sub again. This story is getting crazier and crazier, but what I want to talk about is the morbid world we live in now, where it says Titanic sub lost at sea documentary to air on Channel 5, set to explore wider context between voyage and extreme tourism. They greenlit this project before the bodies were cold, before they were dead. These people were theoretically still had air when this project got greenlit. It reminds me in a little bit, in a way, of the Astroworld tragedy. Mm-hmm. And there was like a Hulu documentary done like 2 days after it happened and up on the site.
Mm-hmm. We just got a $20 super chat.
Oh, okay. From Because Reason says, Elon versus Zuck. Zuck gets bombed from space. Elon smiles and says, ha, wrong button. I'm so down. Like, dude, what we need, like, maybe we could have him do it on like a makeshift spaceship. Because like Elon, it's like Zuckerberg's an alien.
Yeah.
Elon runs SpaceX.
Yep.
Like they do
it on Mars.
That's the whole point of colonization is now not because we need to get there. We terraform just so that we can have that fight. And then we use that planet as a place just for the most prestigious of elite battles. Like, I'm kind of down. Okay, so that says the heart-wrenching search to locate and rescue the Titan submersible. They've run out of their air, ladies and gentlemen. It's already been confirmed. Does it strike you as callous that that they had already greenlit this documentary before they'd even died?
Yeah, I think there's a way to spin this to say that it's like a teachable moment, but I don't think that's what's going on here. I think it's probably a like, well, I mean, it's you already know it's clicks, you already know it's views, you already know, so you just I don't know
the jaded nature of media.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I struggle with the idea of like it's inappropriate to make media out of situations because that's what a documentary is. That's what all these things are. But it just seems like too soon is a cliche for a reason.
The first thing I thought of was, look, my initial instinct is like that's callous and gross. But at the other hand, like famous celebrities, their obituaries have been written years before they die, and they get updated. That way, these news outlets can have them ready right as they pass, so that they can be first on the ball. Yeah. So there's a callous nature to media anyway. Yeah. Like in a certain point, you have to put the heart aspect of what you do in a box and just report the news. This is not exactly the same thing because it's not a report of what happened. It's a documentary. Like, if anything, it feels like they should have more time invested in it to make sure they get things right. Mm-hmm. You know, like rather than do you want to be first or do you want to be right? The media consistently decides they want to be first. Being right doesn't matter to most of them. Do you think this is the type of thing that we as a culture can change, or is it only going in one direction?
I always think it's possible to change, but it just it's not about like where a line is drawn. It's about having nuance and understanding the situation, which I don't think people in media right now do. I think it is possible. You make a valid point that like in all aspects of life, not just media, like you have to have a healthy relationship with how you handle death, especially if people like that kind of like don't let something break you. You have to carry on. This isn't that. This is like, how do we make money off this person dying, essentially? And there's a line. I guess it's more of a gradient of how to handle these things. But to answer your question, like I don't think that we are in an environment that is encouraging improving from this kind of thing. It's only getting worse. Like everything is being driven by being first and not
Price is party. It's Ian and it's Carter. It's party time. I would like to see that shot on video and put in the Cast Castle. I would like to see like a duet of them. like doing this as they sing.
That could be arranged.
That we should do that.
Put it on the whiteboard.
Why do you think it is that this case has become so fascinating to people? Like, look, yesterday we discussed the fact that one of the people on the sub's stepson got into a fight with Cardi B over all of this, because celebrities have found this fascinating. Culture, society has found this fascinating. It's been all over Twitter. What is it about this particular incident that you think has captured the public interest?
It's probably not one thing. It's probably the fact that it's the Titanic. It's probably the fact that there are billionaires on it. I think it's the fact that it's a mystery still.
Yeah.
And that it's not confirmed. Nothing's confirmed. It's like, what's going on? There's multiple facets that make it interesting in different ways, which makes it more interesting.
Yeah, have you seen anybody talking about this? You guys Twitter. You guys tweet.
Mm-hmm.
I think I mean, a big factor for me was just hoping there would be a miracle and that they would be rescued.
Everyone wants that story, right?
And
like,
then,
that was the worst part about people being so callous about this. Like, look, I am like, my sense of humor is as dark as it gets, but what we were talking about wasn't humor. It was actual vitriol and dislike for these people and hopes that they would die.
I was going to say, on the other hand, you saw people reacting like that, and that's just horrific to me. You don't have to like somebody or what they do. You shouldn't hope that they die a horrible, tragic death. That's evil.
And I feel that they kept using the term billionaire to describe them because it's used as an other. It's used to decouple them from who they are as a person and turn them into something that it's almost like a linguistic way of turning them into an avatar. They're no longer a human being. They're just
a representation of something you don't like.
They're a faceless rich person, right? So we got a $20 super chat there from Wyatt Derp. He says Schrodinger's submersible. As long as you don't open it, they're both alive and dead at the same time. It isn't so much that people are more cruel than previously. The whining softies who clutch pearls are louder. Look, is that true? To me, it's not about the humor. I've seen some memes that have made me laugh, but there's a difference between memes that make you laugh and people just outright wishing that something bad happens to these people.
Yeah.
Like, there was a meme, and it was a guy answering on a phone saying, like, Leo, there's going to be a sequel. That genuinely made me chuckle. But it's like, that's not the same thing as like hoping something bad happens to these people. It's like the people have been going on Amazon and reviewing the video game controller that they were using. It's just like, is there something about it that you think is it because they're rich? Is that really are we that callous now?
I think it is that. I think it's not based on anything, like there's no principle there. Yeah. It's just like you said, I hate this thing. This person is associated with that thing, therefore they are that thing, and that's all there is to them. And like, I can understand like having distaste for people who are rich, but it's not because they're rich, it's because of the things they do or partake in.
But nobody's actually giving any examples of things these people have done that is abhorrent. They're just
the fact that they're rich.
Not to mention, this impacts a lot of people. I'm sure there are many friends and family members.
Well, yeah, it was like, why is this kid going to a Blink-182 concert when his stepdad is like, even if you don't like your stepdad, your mom might need to be comforted. That's all I'm saying.
I saw one of those articles.
Yeah. I
can understand wanting to tune out and distract yourself for a little bit from real life when something devastating is going on, but
There's two $20 super chats here. One from Christina. I like the name. The entire situation is a tragedy of hubris and ego. I'm sad people died, but the ones I really feel for are the families and the 19-year-old. Yeah. Like, absolutely.
If you're going to a Blink-182 concert, it might be fair to say that there are indications that maybe this person has a bit of desensitization by the comfort that comes with being a billionaire's stepson. Like, these things are not rare.
Yeah.
And
he was also hitting on an OnlyFans model while this is going on. It's like the whole thing is it's kind of ridiculous. Dave Gazzulli says it's a combination of the intrigue and the dangers of the deep, the hubris of people journeying to where they ought not to go, the cultural relevance of the Titanic movie, and the visceral nature of the terror of a disaster like this. I think that's perfectly well stated. Yeah, that's perfectly well stated.
And this whole extreme tourism.
Yeah. So is it okay? And then I have to ask, is this something you guys would ever do? No?
I won't get on a fair ride.
At all?
No, I'll get on a roller coaster because they're safer and have far less likelihood of having accidents, but I won't get on a tilt-a-whirl. There's no way in hell I would get in the submersible and go underground. But some people seek that type of adventure and can afford it. So, you know.
Well, this has been a thing for it's kind of like those rich people who go on like the state like the fantasy vacations where they get to do something to pretend to be part of some career that they could never actually do. Like it's something that rich people do that I think that there's an inherent
Westworld.
Yeah, exactly. So it says Titanic sub Lost at Sea has been scheduled to air Tuesday at 7 p.m. Dude!
Oh, that was fast.
Dude!
Fast.
The doc will be presented by Channel 5 host Dan Walker. The ITN-produced documentary promises to go beyond news coverage and bring viewers up to date while examining the wider context about the voyage, its passengers, and the fascination with the Titanic shipwreck. The film will also talk to experts and look at the rise of extreme tourism. Why do you think extreme tourism is a thing? Is it because society's just grown so safe?
I think it's always been a thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are people that are just wired that way, I think. Like the perspective of if I'm going to go out, I want to go out doing something incredible. I don't particularly feel that way.
Like adrenaline junkie.
But, or just like that's your fascination. Like if you grew up obsessed with the Titanic in this particular scenario, maybe you would do that.
Yeah,
maybe you would take the
I've
risk.
seen videos of people who were just fascinated by the Titanic too. So that was their dream.
I saw another thing, and I can't confirm this because I didn't look into it beyond the headline, but that said that the guy manning the sub had descendants who died on the Titanic. I can't confirm whether that's true or not. It's just something I read.
Oh, I think I saw something about that as well, but I don't remember what article it was.
It's almost too perfect. Like it's almost too perfect. It sounds the whole thing sounds manufactured. Yeah. Like and they're not the people who are criticizing this. Outside of the extremely abhorrent nature of wanting something bad to happen to these people, they're not wrong when they say that this is that more attention is being paid to this because these people are wealthy. They're not wrong about that. I just don't think that gives license to want to wish ill upon somebody you've never met. Like I have a hard time. Like I've made this statement before. I'm like, look, I don't have a worst enemy, but if I had a worst enemy, I would have never wished what I had gone through with withdrawal during addiction. Like I would never wish that on my worst enemy if I had one. I can't imagine wishing a death that awful on somebody that I not only don't know, but like that is not only not my worst enemy, but somebody that I don't know at all outside of what their parents are worth monetarily. Like I feel like it speaks to the coarseness of our culture now that I do actually. This is a little bit of it's not a reach, but I think you put a lot of this at the feet of Hollywood, who has made anti-capitalist media for decades and decades and decades, where rich people are turned into others. Okay, I was watching an old episode,
which is rich because they all are.
Yes, I know. Well, I mean, they also like making anti-white people stuff, and they're white, so it is what it is. But I was watching a thing the other day. I love the show White Collar. It was a Jeff Easton show from the mid 2000s, and there's an episode where Matt Bomer's character goes undercover as a butler to save the fortune of like a rich family. And like he actually uses the line, he goes, a family's fortune is at risk. I'm like, they'd never make that now. They'd be happy that the family lost the money. They don't want you to save the money because they hate the fact that these people are that wealthy. Also, Hollywood is the type of person that would make the distinguish between millionaire and billionaire. Just like Bernie. They'd be like, well, millionaires are fine, but people worth billions, they can go die at the bottom of the ocean on a sub. I don't care. And that's wrong, if you ask me, at least in my opinion, to think that way. So, is this would you guys end up watching a documentary like this, or would you wait?
I don't think I'm interested enough to watch it anyway. It's just a really unfortunate situation that I don't feel like explaining it to be does anything. You know, like I can understand if there was some reason, like a telethon, you know, like if there was something, like if these were like families that were not rich and it was like, hey, we're going to tell these people's story and try to raise money for the families who lost their fathers who can no longer provide for them. I would look at that and be like, that's pretty cool. Yeah. But that's not the case. That's not what's going on here.
Don't rich people die at the top of or on Everest all the time? Like, so in that one's, I guess that one's just not in vogue anymore because it's happened more than once. Therefore nobody cares.
Yeah. I think the Titanic adds an element to it because we all know about the Titanic. Saw
somebody photoshopped like it was like the sub and showed like it was the necklace from the movie going down past them. Like, it's the culture we live in, guys. All right, I want to give an update quickly on what is going on with ISOM number 2. It is past $1.5 million. $1,522,538. That is fantastic.
It is fantastic.
Isn't that awesome?
It is.
Like seeing something like that successful on the second campaign too is like, it's just, and they had all those like they literally broke the website on the second day, so they actually had to make up a lot of like time on that day because they ended up, a lot of people might have lost interest after not being able to get on the website for a whole day. So the fact that they're doing that well is awesome.
Yeah, it's, well, the first one was over 3, right?
Yeah.
Like,
But you don't expect the second one to make that much.
No, yeah, because that was people with, as somebody who bought it, it's like you want it to pop off, like you really wanted to, and then you need that to keep going at a certain level. Like not him. I need like the people supporting it want to see it keep growing. They want to see new people getting interested. I don't know what I would be interested to see like an analytic on how it's doing as far as how many purchasers versus how many people are buying.
He's got those numbers up.
Oh, does he? Okay.
He's got the numbers up as to like how many. I think it's like however many purchasers are. There's over 12,000 total purchasers, which is awesome. Like when you think about it, like what is it like if you have 100,000 followers, you want to get 1% to tune in. Like if you have a certain amount of followers, if you can get 1% or to buy your stuff, 10% to tune in live, that's what you want, right? Does that seem like I feel like I heard that somewhere.
I don't know if it would probably depend on what your level is, how much percent you need.
So given the size of his platform, he's doing really, really well, and they're making excellent money. So all right, we had a 20.
I also saw that he's breaking a really big pitch to be picked up by retailers, which would be a huge step. Like they set up a retailer portal on their website, so they can. That's really great. That's hard to do. That's like to get into like corporate realty. Not necessarily corporate, but corporate would be big too, to really expand the reach of that and grow that.
There are some that are in Walmart, right? Like there's a couple of comics that are not, or that are Marvel or that are not Marvel and DC that I believe are in Walmart. I can't remember what they are off the top of my head though.
But yeah, so
comic
at Walmart.
Hopefully it continues to do well, guys. But I just want to give you an update on that. Remember, you can go to the Ripaverse.com if you want to support it. It's awesome. So, all right, guys. Oh, we had a $20 super chat there from Deuce Boogaloo, who says the outside attention isn't because the people are wealthy. It's because it's silly. He says they crammed into a metal fleshlight, only openable from the outside, piloted by a video game controller to go James Cameron exploring, for F's sake. Well, I didn't need the fleshlight description. That's for damn sure. But thank you for that. You could be right, my friend.
He's not 100% wrong.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. All right, guys. Okay, I got to take a vote. Cringe or cute of the day first?
Cringe.
Cringe?
Give us the cringe.
All right, let's go cringe first then, ladies and
gentlemen. Then we can like clear our palates with the cuteness.
That is the point. All right, guys. So yesterday, Mary sent me this. This is a guy who takes flight at a concert. You should watch it. People were saying Sam Smith. It is not Sam Smith. But let's watch, shall we? Here we go. He's at a Vanilla Ice concert, which is the best part. Became a horror movie very, very fast.
I feel like you could have seriously get injured.
Oh yeah, like man, that guy was not designed for the mosh pit.
Is there any impact or any update?
There's another angle. I have another angle.
This is the angle I've seen.
Yes, here we go. Somebody says Sam Smith. It's not Sam Smith, guys. I don't know what he was thinking.
I don't know.
Like this.
I don't think he was.
This was not an Arnold Classic. A bunch of Arnold Classic members at the bottom waiting to catch him. These were just everyday people. You know, I hope he's okay. I'm assuming he is. I'm assuming he's fine. But you know, like mosh with caution, my friend. You don't take the mosh pit lightly.
The advice of the day.
Yes, always mosh with caution. Like if
mosh responsibly.
Like no, if for no other reason than for the people.
Yeah.
For the people.
Yeah, somebody else could have gotten hurt.
Like did that? Like if I, who am not skinny but am not fat, went and moshed, I would worry about whether I'm going to injure someone, whether by kicking them or whatever, or you land the wrong way. This guy should have I don't know if he thought the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles outfit was going to like break the fall, but you know, he's got a lot packing there in the front, so I hope that helped cushion the fall. There was a $20 super chat from Unusable Alpaca. Says, Extraction 2 was better than the first, and I liked the first. Extraction 2 did a great job with showing family dynamics, the father-son versus mother and son. They also broke down the main character and why he does what he does. Yeah, it was crazy to see Olga Krylenko show up in that movie, like towards the end, not even in like a super important role. But it's the other actress, Golshifteh Farahani. Woo! Who plays, It's party time. I don't like talking through that one. I like to let them sing. They put work into that. I like to let them sing.
They sound really nice. I like that it's like this beautiful harmony just interrupted by Ian screaming.
That's Phil screaming.
Oh,
that's
okay.
Phil.
That makes more sense.
That is Phil doing the screaming there. But you know, like Golshifteh Farahani in that movie is very, very good. Her brother dies in the movie, but it's not the most important thing in the film. But it's like there's a lot of strong. Also, it's been out for a couple weeks now, so there's a lot of strong emotional elements that the first one absolutely had none of. So they do a good job of like taking you through the 20-minute action scene, but then tethering it to actual human emotions to make it feel like there's something that matters there. Like you would have bought, like they're clearly angling to turn it into a franchise. That's why they brought in Idris Elba. Like, did you end up watching Luther Fallen Son?
Yes.
The end of Extraction 2 is actually very much like the end of Luther Fallen Son. Like except for Idris Elba's playing the other guy. So everyone should go watch it. It's on Netflix. There's a $20 one from Clint Torres. Says, watching that guy stage dive made my inner Mr. Chow, and alls I hear is, it's funny because he's far. Look.
I think he meant fat.
Don't. Like, my hope is that this guy gets something out. Like, this guy could easily turn into a social media sensation from this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what he should do? He should turn this into his gimmick where he starts putting pads down there. And, like, he just turns it into a thing where he goes to concerts.
He should stage dive things that aren't concerts.
Oh.
Kind of like how Logan Paul used to do the splits in random places, like in front of people getting off the escalator. Like, you should stage dive right in front of people in the escalator. Every
time people think that like Gen Z is like attention seeking,
it's like planking.
Just remember that's what I was gonna say. It's like every time you think Gen Z are the ones that were attention seeking, just remember planking was a thing. It was a thing, ladies and gentlemen. So that is your cringe of the day. I hope the gentleman is all right. But to be fair, I'm also glad that nobody else got hurt in the commission of that act. That could have been bad. All right, let's do cute of the day, shall we? We've got just one today, so if you guys have some cute, adorable pets you want to submit, go ahead and do so. But this is from John Hall. He says, this is Max, your friendly neighborhood furball, recently passed but never forgotten. Oh. That is an adorable pooch, and you are missed, my friend.
Condolences.
I read somewhere that
loss, but he's adorable.
I read somewhere that Max is the most popular pet name in America. I think I read that on a Snapple cap.
It makes me think of the Grinch. Wasn't the Grinch's dog named Max?
You might know this one.
I don't know.
I hope I didn't just like pull a false
just say
memory.
it. Just say it with pure confidence and move on. That's all you gotta do.
Is he a Pomeranian?
It doesn't say. It doesn't list. He also didn't do what a lot of the people do. A lot of the people who send us their pets, they always say like, he's a little bit of a jerk, but we love him. They always couch like an insult with their compliment. They're like, he's a little bit of a nutcase, but we love our Max. But thank you, John. All right, guys, let's get started, shall we? And now everyone says started. We've been started for a while now. Here we go. So, if you did not know, for a long time now, if you've insulted anyone on the internet, journalists have been liable to call you alt-right. It's a term they use to turn you into an other, just like the people who are criticizing the billionaires, because it's a way of saying that they're above criticism, and they label it, they turn it to things like, you all right there, buddy? Yep. All right.
Try
Okay.
not to destroy your money.
Yes. Okay. So they turn you into an other by calling you alt-right, and they've been doing this to fandom for years. They call it toxic fandom. Well, Taylor Swift is now being labeled as someone who has a toxic fandom. Certainly somebody that for a long time people have known to have very, very dedicated fans that can sometimes go too far. This might in fact be one of these instances, because the article says Taylor Swift fans sent me death threats, doxed my family, and accused me of being a PDF file after I criticized her Eras tour. So this guy had the temerity to say that it wasn't as good as Beyonce's last tour, and that was enough to cause fans to lose their crap and go after this guy. So he says, I was in line to order coffee when the death threats started flooding my inbox. At first, I wasn't exactly sure what they were about. Sadly for me, as with the job as a reporter, a quote, kill yourself and anti-gay slur could be about anything I've written, from stories on drag queens in Florida to Russia's war in Ukraine. But then I checked Twitter. Hundreds of messages from Swifties. Taylor Swift's dedicated fan base filled my notifications. Some were doxing my personal information. Others were predicting when and how I die. One said they were tracking down my friends and family. Anti-gay slurs filled my mentions. The worst came when a group of Swifties tried to mass email my boss and get me fired. Well, gee, this guy is clearly not aware that this has been going on for a long time now. This would actually be what a lot of people would have called cancel culture in 2018, 2019, which included starting rumors that I was a groomer in a PDF file. It was shocking. It was a shocking echo of a far-right talking point being peddled against LGBTQ people. What I think he's failing to realize.
Oh, no, I see. So he's on the side that talking about grooming is a far right thing.
But what he's saying is that like all of these things that would have normally been attributed to people that they would have called far right for criticizing the war in Ukraine, for criticizing all these other things.
So they're doing okay.
There's a $20 super chat from Corn Poops a Bad Dude. Says, long time caller, first time listener. Good show, guys. How does that work? How do you be a long time caller and a first time listener? Have you been dialing the wrong number all this time? That's impressive. Look, what I think they're coming to realize now.
No, I think he's saying like that is far right.
What?
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
Okay. So
yeah.
I understand. All right.
So, but what he's pointing out is that Taylor Swift fans are not far right. Mm-hmm. So maybe what they're failing to understand is that maybe people aren't just far right. Maybe some people are just awful people. And there is such a thing as extremely toxic fan bases. The problem is, where do you draw the line, right? One of the things that people on the left always do, especially journalists, is anybody who has any type of critique, if you tell them to please stick to the source material, if you say you're not casting accurately, that's called far right, and it labels you toxic fandom. Right? What he's realizing is that is not a phenomenon labeled directly for people that they would clarify as a right-wing personality. It's not right-wing. It's just people that take things too far.
No, I don't think you're wrong. I think he's not realizing anything. I don't think. I think that's
what I'm saying is I'm hoping he realizes.
Okay. I was going to say that is a good insight, but I do not think that is one that he has been had the benefit of being enlightened by. I think he will learn nothing from this.
He
will learn nothing from this, and he will be his heels will dig in further towards the people that he already has animosity towards, and I don't know what the end of this saga will be, but it will be that these people are acting like bad people when they're not bad people. They're the bad people. It's just going to happen like that. That's how this is. That's going to be the takeaway for everybody else as well. It's like, wow, you're acting like right-wing people, the actual bad people. Who have nothing to do with this.
You are putting into words what I was figuring out in my head and didn't know how to say. But it sounds like a lot of teenage girls have too much time on their hands and have hormones flooding and have no idea of self-control or respect for other people.
Did you see that people
I get those crazy messages too. It's like people come after you for anything if they're a nut job.
It's just whatever they think will make you feel bad.
Yeah.
So even if you are normally an ally, you will go after that person for that because you're mad at them.
Never a mentally healthy person who sends you messages on Twitter to tell you to kill yourself. Ever. that is 0% of the time it is a sane person.
Xavier DeRusso would talk about this. Like he said, he gets more anti-black vitriol from people now than he ever did before, right? I want to talk more about the fandoms though, because what this guy's realizing is that we are in a culture now that has elevated parasocial relationships higher than I think we ever thought they would go, because I believe that as a society, we're extremely disconnected, we're heavily medicated, and we're lonely as a culture. And the internet provides a large amount of comfort to a lot of people. And what they're realizing is that that can go too far.
Yeah. Well, it's counterfeit closeness, really.
Yes.
It is. It strongly resembles it but without any of the, it's like a shelf-stable food that doesn't have any of the nutrients or things that you would actually get or grow from, but it resembles food. It feels like you're eating.
There are plenty of things that I eat where I'm like, that did literally zero. Yeah. It did negative things for me.
Yeah.
I am literally not just less healthy, but I'm hungrier now than I was before I ate whatever I was eating. I was explaining to Mary once what puff corn was, and I was like, it's literally air. It's literally just unhealthy air that you eat. And that's kind of what how I view a lot of these relationships. Look, people find solace in these groups because they don't have connections in the real world. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. What's interesting about it is it's actually, in a perverse and odd way, it's a strong compliment to Taylor Swift's ability as an artist to create music that resonates with people on an extremely visceral level. That she can create music that people connect with so heavily that they will then go to bat and threaten people who give her the mildest of critiques by saying that Beyonce had a better tour.
Do you think that would make her happy though?
That I would they in the article they reach out. They're like, we reached out to Taylor Swift and her associates for comments. Shockingly, they had no comment. Like, what would she say to that? Like, is she supposed to be like, oh wow, good for them, thanks for sticking up for me, guys?
But if she was like, this isn't okay, I don't want people to do this, then what if they turned on her?
Well, I mean, her fans have already done that in some cases. They like, her fans feel a certain amount of ownership over her because of the parasocial relationship. Then there's this absolutely bonkers open letter that they wrote to her.
Is it the Union one?
Yes. Yeah. No. The Union one. This one's worse than the Union one, because the Union one was satire, or at least I perceived it as really, really good satire. But this
was
one
really good if it's satire.
There was another one where they basically they wrote her an open letter about how they should be able to have a say over who she dates, and saying like, you shouldn't be dating Maddie Healy, who she's since broken up with, because you're going against everything you stand for. He's anti-LGBTQIA plus this. He's bad for this. He's bad for that. And they're saying this and they're shaming her. It's an act of shaming. It's literally a night letter that they're leaving at her doorstep. And they're doing it in a way that they feel completely comfortable doing. But that's what happens when you push for this type of close relationship with your fans. She's about to become a billionaire on this tour. She's going to become worth $1 billion by the end of this tour.
And she's going to find the Titanic.
And she's exactly right. She's going to have a show Eras Undersea, and she's going to have it down at the bottom of the Titanic, right?
She's going to play the music
and she will cover Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On.
And Mark fight on Mars.
Well, he did.
She'll do the entertainment.
I'd be down for that. Look, I give her a lot of credit too, because I find her to be in an industry where people are becoming more and more lame, with Shawn Mendes calling off shows for mental health reasons. She just keeps adding dates and working harder, and I have a lot of respect for somebody who wants to work and works very, very hard, and is very, very good at what they do. And I do believe that she's very, very good at what she does. Even if it's not my type of music, I think that anybody who's that good at something should be complimented. Yep. But in the article, he goes, I was shocked and chilled by how far it went, and it was to showcase the worst parts of stan culture, which is exactly what this is. I put a poll up today, guys. I said, who has the worst fans, the craziest fans? Is it Taylor Swift fans, BTS fans, or Disney adults? Do you guys have a vote on that?
Probably gonna have to say Disney adults.
I think they might be the most annoying, but I don't know if they're the worst.
Oh yeah, that's probably a better way. They're the most surprising.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm almost leaning towards the Taylor Swift fans after this.
Yeah.
But I mean, this doesn't speak for all Taylor Swift
No, of course
fans.
not. No,
I
and
think
nor
that's
should.
important. So I guess 100% of Disney adults are weirdos. I'm just kidding. But only a certain amount of the Swifties are crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Even calling
Hard
them
to say.
even calling them Disney adults is a little bit rude because you're
I'm just playing around. I like some.
I
Disney
do it all.
movies,
I do it
so-
all the time. But I'm saying it's kind of like how they refer to them as billionaires. It allows you to other them in a way. So Unusable Alpaca says, I agree
They
with...
call themselves that too, though, sometimes. So it's
Okay, well, if they label them... like I say, I don't say the same about Swifties because they call themselves Swifties. I don't know if Disney adults call themselves Disney adults.
Many do.
So Unusable Alpaca says, I agree with you on withdrawal. I got hit by a car while on my motorcycle, and it's taken me 10 years of coming off the opiates slowly. I was really out of it there with much pain, with as much as I was abusing. Worst pain ever. Doing way better now. Well, dude, congratulations on doing way better. Mm-hmm. Yes, that feeling it's the worst. It is the time that I spent in rehab, the time I spent with detoxing from the opiates was an experience I would never want anyone to have to experience. If somebody did me wrong, I would still never want them to have to go through that. It was truly awful. Like not sleeping for a month and vomiting every 20 minutes to the point where all you're throwing up is just water, and not being in every minute feels like an hour, and your body feels like it's constantly being pricked with pins and needles and phantom aches and pain, and not having a physical correlation as to why you have a psychological correlation. You know your body is coming off of substances, but not having a physical correlation to a pain that's literally just all over and feels never ending. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone, and it's truly awful. But I'm glad, man, that you're doing better, because no one should have to go through that. It's also one of the things that's hardest for me to reconcile with, because I'm also very I think the drug war is awful, and I think it's done nothing but cause problems. But at the same time, I understand what a problem addiction is, and it's one of those things I kind of have to constantly evaluate my priorities with, like, how much do I actually want people to have access to this stuff. I do believe as adults it's nobody's business what you put in your body, but at the same time
it only is when it has externalities. If you can't function and you affect other people negatively, then that's where the line should be drawn. But
or if you have kids,
and it's I would say, I understand what you mean, but I'm against the drug war as well. That doesn't mean there shouldn't be some war on it. It's just, is it a moral war or is it a legal war?
Well, legal war is what we've seen. It's certainly not about morals, and has not been for a while. He says, so he goes on, he says, if you've said something they, and by they I mean these participatory communities, don't like, their approaches to try and impugn and indict you, Thomas said. You know what it is? I feel like a lot of it is like people have, social media has done this too. Maybe people didn't identify as much with these celebrities before they had such access to them. So when you slight them, they're having a hard time differentiating between a slight on you and a slight on them and a slight on the performer.
Like it's such a huge part of their identity.
It's like, well, how dare you insult this person that I love so much, right? It's like when somebody insults your favorite movie. Like, it's like, I actually have an easier time when people critique my taste in movies or television. That's easier than when somebody insults your or has a harsh stance on your politics or your morals, right? Because anybody can critique anything. But for them, I feel like they treat it as seriously as another person might treat their morals. Like they might take it as a personal affront. Yeah,
sometimes it's not even, in my personal experience, it's not even if you dislike something they like, they're offended if you like something they dislike.
Yeah.
That's my experience here.
Yes. Well, we'll stay away from that one today. Is there anything that you guys, besides that, is there anything that you guys like that you feel gets a lot of backlash?
Keeping women's sports female.
That's fair enough, right?
Check out my sweater today.
What does it say?
says respect her sports.
Respect her. See, I can't endorse that because I make fun of Shiro or Shiro and what's the other one that they always use?
I don't know.
Anytime Marvel or one of these things puts a she into an advertisement.
This one's worth supporting.
Fair
though.
enough.
This is a really good organization, Icons Women. You can get these in a bunch of different styles and colors on their website, iconswomen.com. Just shout them out real quick. And it goes towards supporting their fight to protect women's sports from male athletes invading women's division. So there's cool styles.
What movie do you like that people get mad about?
You get mad every time I'm like, let's watch another Phantasm.
I don't get mad.
What?
He's like, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I feel like I just have really great taste in movies. I don't know.
I bat 1,000. I'm never wrong.
This one? Does anybody
Nobody
care
gets
about
mad
this
about
one?
that.
No.
I think it's a great movie.
I don't know. I'm trying to think, and I'm drawing a blank. I feel like no people in my life really care about stuff like that.
Because there's well balanced people. Because there's just normal people here. Well, for me, it's Fast and the Furious. Whenever I talk about, of course, I elevate it and I go overboard and I talk about how much I love it in a way that's kind of designed to. Because I know people don't like it, so therefore I have to push back.
When I was a kid, my dad made me watch this documentary Hoop Dreams so many times. And it's not even that it's like terrible, it's that he made me watch it so many times that now even just hearing it, I like feel enraged.
Yeah. Or even for me, just growing up rollerblading. When skateboarding was as popular as it was and people held it against the sport, and I had to just be like, I don't give a crap what you think about what I do.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Like, same with scootering.
Yeah.
What
I love about scootering.
I don't care if you're having fun and you're, like, doing your own thing.
What I love about the scooter kids is they just don't give they don't care. Mm-hmm. They're off doing their own thing. Doesn't matter to them. They don't pine for the validation of other sports. They don't need it. And that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Like, that's how all of them should be.
If you love to do something, it shouldn't matter what other people think. Mm-hmm. But also, like, when I get to the skate park and there's just 30 scooter kids snaking.
You wanna go a little bit old-fashioned?
I'm just kidding.
Look,
I like kids, so I try to be polite and have good etiquette, but it can get a little bit annoying.
I miss the old days. I say this all the time. I'm like, I go to the skate park and people are nice to me. I'm like, this sucks. I miss the days when
I want to be the outcast.
It's like I miss the days whenever I was like, because it's like things haven't changed that much. They're being dishonest.
Yeah.
They're being disingenuous. I don't buy it.
Can I even say the term that skaters would call rollerbladers?
I mean, that doesn't offend me.
Is it YouTube safe?
Is it well, no, because didn't Tim pull an episode where somebody said something similar?
Yeah,
I don't think it was that.
It was close. It included the first word.
Yeah,
so yeah, we'll avoid it here just to be safe. But
okay,
it doesn't defend me. You can call me that after the show.
I'm pretty sure it's not like it would get pulled. I just don't even want to risk it.
My other favorite was when they'd be like, "What's the hardest part about rollerblading? Telling your parents you're gay." now that happens to so many people. Now so many people tell their parents they're gay. It's not even unique anymore.
Now it's the best part of rollerblading.
Yeah,
somebody said it in the comments.
Yes.
Yeah,
oh, yes.
They all know.
All right, guys. Let's go to super chat, shall we? All right. Scroll to you got them up there at the top. The non-$20 ones.
Would you like me to read
some
super
please.
Chats? All right. Let's start with Andrew Jacobs. This one's for Mary. She's not here today, so we'll have to forward this to her when she gets back. Mary, was your septum piercing very painful? Hi, B.
I'm assuming that has something to do with Alex Stein. I didn't see it, but I assume it has something to do with Alex Stein.
Well, none of us have a septum piercing, so we can't speak on that.
Is that this one? No, it's like
I believe so.
The permanent booger one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, does it?
I mean, it looks like a permanent booger.
I don't know. I couldn't have a piercing. Needles freak me out.
You don't have your ears pierced?
I have my ears pierced, but I had them since I was a kid.
I had both my ears pierced at one point.
That's better than just one.
No, you know what it was? Is back then, like, you didn't know which one was supposedly the gay one, so everyone got both of them done until they could, like, you didn't have a phone to look this stuff up at the time.
The next one is from Shane H. Wilder. Congrats to Wesley and Taylor on your engagement.
Oh,
thank you. Yeah, we did the thing. We're getting married.
Where do we send the blender?
Oh yeah.
Or the what is something else that's frequently given at weddings.
I don't know.
If not blenders, then I guess kitchenware is the big one. It's always
good.
kitchenware.
We just went fork shopping the other day.
Oh.
Just forks.
Just
Yeah.
I literally use I use all plastic utensils and
Never
and
have
I
to
buy
do the
and I
dishes.
buy them in large quantities so that I just don't have to do dishes.
Very eco-friendly of you, Brett.
Well,
Saving water.
I make fun of the climate activists, so I'm not being a hypocrite at least.
I think this next one is talking about John Wick, probably. It's from Unknown, but with an X instead of an O. And it says on JRE, Joe Rogan Experience, the director said it was pure fantasy.
As it should be by this point, right? Like like money not regulated by the federal government. Are you kidding me? Like actual physical money that's not crypto. Like, oh, you know what? In fact, how lucky did John Wick get coming up with that idea before crypto was this big of a thing? Because now if somebody had written that script, it would probably they'd be using crypto, and it wouldn't be twice as interesting.
No.
We got another one from Andrew Jacobs. Please disregard my previous super chat. Cast Castle rules.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, I want to get this one made into a song. Everybody always wants
I can't hear anything.
Everybody always wants Carter's music to be made into like songs to download. I would like to see this one turned into a song for people to download.
I was only halfway through that comment. It
Yep.
goes on to say, Mazel tov to Taylor and Wesley on your upcoming, what's this word?
Oh, nuptials.
Nuptials. Oh, I knew that. Hi, Brett. And thank you, Toda Rabah. Everybody, I guess, follows us on Twitter and found out.
Is that where you guys do most of your like? Do you guys actively share like what's going on with the planning process?
No.
No, but
Too influencery.
I don't think we want everybody to know all that. But we did. I mean, I shared that we had gotten engaged.
Yeah.
And like a cute little post about that.
But you guys don't share a ton about it.
No.
There's always like an inverse correlation between how much you share about that stuff and how, maybe I'm wrong, but there's always seems to be an inverse correlation between like the people who constantly feel the need to talk about how strong the relationship is are usually the ones that seem to be overcompensating.
I would agree with
just
that.
a little bit. Like once in a while's fine, but you know, if it's healthy and stable, it doesn't need to be spoken out loud constantly. So let's do one more from BMF Nate Dogg, and then we will move on.
This one is $2 super
message.
chat, no message.
Thank you.
Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you, sir. All right, guys, let us move on. Let's talk about Britt Eklund. So Britt Eklund was a Bond girl. She was she was Good Night in Man with the Golden Gun. And she's there's been a debate rolling on about you know, the age of Bond girls being since past, you know, because we're past the Brosnan era, and during the Craig era it's been nothing but bleh and depression and you know, true love and all this stuff that I don't care about in my spy franchises, if I'm being 110% completely honest. It says Britt Eklund says Bond girls don't exist due to political correctness, but older Bond movies were more fun. Do you agree? Do you think that they were more fun? You might have a strong opinion on this.
I wouldn't say a strong opinion. I like that the flavor of the franchise changes with everybody. Like, I think that the Timothy B. Dalton one was a little bit similar to the Daniel Craig one.
Yeah.
Like, he was just like a lunatic and very conflicted and wasn't. It wasn't.
Which is different from Roger Moore.
Yeah, which he wasn't. That wasn't a very sexy Bond. It was just like kind of brutal. Still had its like levity, but it was more brutal. And so I liked, like, I started to get over the Brosnan Bond, and I loved Bond growing up. I started to get over it. Maybe it was my age, but when Daniel Craig came in, I was like, this is pretty cool. But then the problem with it was it just became more and more kind of flat. It didn't have the pop that Casino Royale did. So I would, at this point, I'd be happy with seeing it kind of revert back to a more, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say, like, there are some Bond movies that are kind of goofy,
Yeah.
over the top, but a little bit more levity, and I'm not saying like become a Marvel movie where everything's equipped, but just a little bit more like that was a rollicking good time rather than like Spectre, which was this dark, dour, depressing, long,
with no pullback, like with nothing to break it up. Like that was the worst part of it. It's like it just goes on.
Yeah.
It like it's like my face just went as the whole thing went on because it never let up.
Yeah. It's and like I think they say that like the American James Bond is either Mission Impossible or
Jason Bourne.
Not Jason Bourne. Indiana Jones.
Okay.
Like that was what they wanted to make.
Then it's Mission Impossible, in my opinion.
But Indiana Jones, I would say, is a better comparison, like
character-wise.
Yes, like that energy. No, the movies, like that energy. That's not like Marvel silly, but it has a lot of levity. It has a lot of like heart. It has the same relationship, kind of with between Henry and the women. It's kind of a little messed up. Yeah, but it's interesting. Yeah, you know, it's not like they act like this is something that they're putting out there and saying this is what everybody should model their relationships after. It's not. It's just something interesting. Yep.
We have a $20 super chat here from Wyatt Derp. Says, what spaces for men and boys are you passionate about keeping women out of, Taylor? Boy Scouts, West Point, or do men just get live combat, deep sea fishing, and firefighting? Asking for a friend.
Well, I focus and talk a lot about the women's sports issue, and people will be like, what about female reporters in men's locker rooms? I never advocated for that. I think men should have single-sex spaces also. Like Boy Scouts, there's been cases with Girl Scouts where certain chapters are asking the girls their pronouns and trying to do like overnight camps that male or, you know, biological boys can stay with biological girls overnight. And I don't think that should happen, you know, regardless each way. Yep. I think there's a reason why men dominate certain jobs, though. Like, you guys are stronger than us, you're bigger than us.
Like deep sea fishing.
Yeah, like there definitely are women who do those jobs, but there's a reason why there's more female hairdressers and nurses, you know? Also,
let it be known that every girl that I know that works, that does hair, they're so happy. They seem so like maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm misinterpreting, but they seem to have very, very, very good lives. Like they're not overly worried about what the job says about them because they identify heavily with the work, and that's enough. And like it's not their whole lives. They have families, they have kids, they have husbands, but they love their work, but they don't keep the work. They don't treat the work as something that needs to be elevated to the level of poetry. It's just something that they're good at and go to work to do and passionate about. But it doesn't mean that it's like they haven't tied their identity to it in a way that's combative against their nature. Because they like, do men that become hairdressers then like I'm the best male hairdresser? Like I don't know if that's a thing. Maybe it is. I don't know. But all the women I know that work on hair are very, very happy. So I'm going to get back. So this is what she says about the movie. She says, there are no more Bond girls. There are Bond women today. They have it with political correctness. They have it with the political correctness and the Me Too. They have had a much better time than we had, but I don't think the end product is as much fun as ours was. Because we were pretty and we had good bodies and we didn't try to look sexy. We just were. Today, everything is so don't do that because that will upset that side. We didn't have any of that. We just went out there. We were always in a bikini and there were all these people are fully dressed, very typical, but it was a job and we did it. So I think today the Bond women have it far more from a political correctness view. They're in a much better position, but I think we had more fun. So they're like, it does feel like there's a sense of hesitancy to do anything that isn't portraying women in a 100% modest manner now, because loath would you be to like upset the feminists who say that it's not empowering for a woman to dress attractively.
Well, I don't think that they're necessarily about modesty.
No, I think
this might sound a little controversial, like but acting like men, but also I think that some, not all, there's, you know, different types of feminists, but I think some of them find a traditionally beautiful woman offensive.
It's a lot of it. It's also about who the market is and who does the writing and who created the characters, right?
And
so
I feel like more men are going to be watching James Bond.
yes, absolutely. But that's the thing, they don't want men watching it. They want to find the phantom female audience that doesn't exist.
Phantom female.
They want it. Well, this is what they do with all of these things. They're looking for this magic. Like they took Marvel, which is for guys. They took Star Wars, which is for guys, and they went looking for this magical new demographic of audience members that could be, because that is in a lot of ways a bit of how corporate capitalism works, right? Like you're always looking to grow, but ideologically it might have started out that way, but it ideologically stopped being about growing the audience and started becoming about replacing the audience because the audience wasn't the right demographic. When they write these characters, it's okay to write a strong, independent, beautiful female as long as the audience is for women. If it's for men, you cannot do anything that will please men because that's the male gaze. You're not allowed to show that in a way that men will like because that's heterosexual cis white men who want to see this, and that's bad.
I don't know. I'd rather see a really beautiful woman too.
Well, I mean, but they don't realize that. They don't realize that women go to James Bond movies to watch women be rescued by James Bond. Men go to James Bond movies to imagine being James Bond and doing the rescuing, right? Like you don't go, like they have not yet learned that women don't want to go see spy movies about women. They want to go see spy movies where women are orbiting the male spies. I will contend with that. I don't believe that's false. I don't believe the average woman goes and sees a movie like the movie The 355 bombed. Nobody cared because it's Ocean. What was the female Ocean? That did fine. That made, but that had a lot of big names to it.
So did the other one.
The 355. Yeah. I really do believe that at a time when things were more fun, they knew their audience and they worked to make that audience happy. Now, audiences are problematic. Now, audiences have values that they don't agree with. Therefore, they have to change the product.
So I'm going to disagree with you slightly.
Okay.
I'm going to alter your point to say that women do want to see spy movies about women, but they want them to act like women. Where, like Charlie's Angels.
Okay, Charlie's Angels. Fair enough.
They want that was a success, not the new one. And guess why?
Even then, I bet you the audience for Charlie's Angels was still majority
What
male.
changed in the new one? I haven't seen the new one.
It's depressing
It's
and
much more
and it hates
like
men.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It has a lot of
The
hatred
first
towards
one
men.
is so fun.
Yeah. It's the opposite of fun.
They're totally different franchises. Like,
Did you ever see the original Point Break?
No,
Did you see the original Point
I
Break?
don't believe so.
like the Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you see the remake?
Yes.
It's the anti Point Break.
Wait, is that the movie that they talk about in that other
Yeah.
movie? You
Yeah.
like? Oh my gosh, he loves this movie, and it's so great.
It's
Talking
What
about
is
Hot
it?
Fuzz.
It's Shaun of the Dead, but
It's
police.
Hot Fuzz.
It's
It's great.
But the point is that Point Break the remake has very little in any way connection to the actual what made.
Instead of Catherine Bigelow's the first one, she didn't do the second one.
No, I don't remember. Like the second one is the most generic studio production you've ever seen, but it doesn't have any of the charm that made the original Point Break amazing, right?
Right.
And no Swayze, of course. So,
I've only seen the one scene in Point Break that's in.
Yeah.
And a big part of this is they want to get rid of escapist entertainment. You're not allowed to create something that doesn't have a message, and it's very hard to have a movie with a message if the women are shooting guns in bikinis. So they don't want to do that. They've lost touch with the average everyday person who just wants to get away and see something. And it's not like there weren't strong women in the Brosnan ones that were plenty capable. Natalia in GoldenEye was plenty capable, did her own job. In fact, there was even a point in that movie where I did have a problem with it, where she's like, he asks her if she knows how to use a gun, and she like she removes the magazine, racks the slide. I'm like, they didn't need to show her doing that. Like it wasn't necessary. She saved the day in other ways, right? So that track line, that track for Hollywood was already moving that direction. Then you've got not Ming-Na Wen, who was Michelle Yeoh in Die Another Day, or I'm sorry, in Tomorrow Never Dies, but she plays a spy and everyone thought it was fine.
Yeah. But they used to write to feminine strengths.
Yes.
And they don't do that. That's the only difference. It's not that like there's a bunch of angry dudes who don't like strong women.
Alias is another good example of a show.
Alien
that did,
is a good.
No, yeah. But
it always is.
But Alias is a show where she was allowed to be extremely flawed. She was very emotional. She was actually highly emotional outside of work, but was able to turn it off and do her job when she had to do her job. So they don't write in any way that feels authentic to the human experience based on your gender.
The funny part is that they do still do this in movies, but they're always comedies.
Yeah.
Like where there's a successful movie where women act like women are always comedies.
What's a good example?
Bridesmaids.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, like chick flicks.
Yeah, well, or even the action, The Spy Who Dumped Me. Like the women act like women, and the spy is I can't remember his name right now, but they wrote this, but it's a comedy. Night and Day is another one.
I've still never, dude. It's been sitting in my queue because it's on Hulu for ages, and I just haven't watched it. Another Chuck. Sarah in Chuck still has her like, do I like this guy or not moments, which is very real to the human experience. And he's the definition of a panicky male lead. And it works for the character because she's also allowed to be emotional when she needs to be. And you feel the connection there. None of what Hollywood is making right now, if they tried to remake Chuck now, it would be 100 times.
Chuck would never have worked without Adam Baldwin either.
No.
That same, like being the rear of that character that leads Chuck into that space, which is really good.
Chuck is
really good show.
It's a masterpiece. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, like it seems like she's saying like you win some, you lose some.
Francisco Sanchez Jr. I'm gonna go ahead and say you're wrong on that one. He says Alias sucked. It did not suck. I liked Alias. Plus, like, that was so long ago. Like, that was like, think about that. Like, that was like, I remember Gina Torres showed up in like episode 5, and she looks like a kid compared to what they look now. Jennifer Garner, like, just great. But I really do think that one of the problems with this is you're not allowed to be you're not allowed to have escapist entertainment anymore. But also, like, there's something to be said about better conditions. You know, they're working in better conditions. Yeah. Hopefully, producers aren't doing casting couch bullshit, stuff like that. But there has to be a middle ground, right? Yeah. Can we find our way back to some type of middle ground? Like, I don't buy that they find it fun. They might find doing the action scenes fun, but I don't buy that that's going to be fulfilling to a large swath of the female audience.
I would agree.
I don't know. Like, is there another example of something recently that you think has done it well?
That has done it well? I think Wonder Woman did it pretty well. The original Wonder Woman.
Yeah, because she was allowed to play the fish out of water scenes, and she was clearly very, very connected and emotional with Chris Pine. Yeah. Right? So it works. Like, and they don't allow for that amount of vulnerability anymore.
Yeah. This is a wild card, but Bullet Train. Like, I think it played to feminine strengths. The characters were well represented in how they were presented. Like the
Joey King's character,
and also Zazie Beetz being like the
constantly saying bitch part was very annoying and felt like such a the writer like but that part was good.
Yeah, I think it handled it well, and also like the relationship to it. I'm trying not to spoil any of it because she hasn't seen it, but between the handler and Brad Pitt, like that, the way that played out felt
because she was the handler, and if it was done now, he would.
Well, it was done now. But it was done last year.
But I'm saying, but like in any other case, it would be he would be the handler and she would be the spy because they have to subvert expectations. Yes. They're like literally to subvert expectations now. You would just have a guy act like a guy. That's how you actually subvert expectations in Hollywood.
Extraction.
Now. Exactly. And Extraction is freaking great. And here's the thing. So in that movie, in the sequel, her character, Nick Khan, the girl, she has all of the tropes of the strong, independent woman that don't need no man, but she also gets very emotional on several instances because of things that happen to other characters. She's allowed to emote in a way that they don't allow Hemsworth to emote because it wouldn't fit his character in only the most extreme of circumstances. So you get her to be both emotionally viable but also do the action scenes. It's not that hard. You just have to be willing to admit that women are still women and men are still men. So, all right, we got some super chats.
That is a
controversial opinion
thing that some people. I don't believe they actually don't know this, but they're willing to pretend they don't.
Yeah. Yep. We got some super chats there.
Oh, cool. I think we are...
We left off at... Where were we? We're up here. Was it... Isaac Martinez.
So many.
Isaac Martinez.
Wait, did we get?
We got
yeah,
Dave
we already got
because
Dave.
it was a 20.
Okay, Isaac Martinez left a super chat. Heard about Applebee's giving Indiana Jones tickets for free since no one will buy tickets for the movie in theaters.
Look, I watched Jeremy John's review of it, and it
I
just
haven't seen it yet.
broke me.
Oh, not good?
No.
Yeah. I saw what, I didn't watch it yet, but I saw what the Critical Drinker had to say about it. I was like, okay, that diminished my...
I consider Jeremy Johns a very good barometer of apolitical takes on movies. He's very, very like, even if he agrees with some of the things that I might think, it's for different reasons than why I would agree with it. And I consider him a very good gauge of how to, like, I don't really for Stuckman anymore.
Yeah,
it feels like he just kind of generically likes everything these days. Granted, I don't watch as many of his reviews as I used to. Might have to do with the fact that he's making movies now. So maybe he identifies with the struggle of actually making them more in a way that makes him more charitable to them. But like, watch Johns' review. He's still he's my favorite reviewer.
Mine too.
By far. Like he seems.
Him and Dan Merle.
I would love to be able to get Jeremy Johns. I don't think I could.
I bet you could.
You think he would come here?
Yeah, I think he would.
You think he'd come out here? I gotta shoot my shot.
Yeah.
I gotta slide into the DMs.
I think you would.
And see what he says. Like he would be he's just great.
Yeah.
Like
he's great in Cast Castle too.
He's just a likable dude. Yep. He's like the definition. He's the quintessential definition of the down to earth likable dude. Yep. Right. All right, Deuce Boogaloo.
Deuce Boogaloo. I like that name. This one's for Brett. Brett, I found this channel called Pointless Hub that has hilarious reviews / analyses of the Bayformers films. Highly recommend.
Yes, let's go. Like, look, I don't tweet very often, but I tweeted both the ends to the first 2 Transformers movies recently because I'm like, let the optimism flow through you. Because it really was like culture in America peaked when Megan Fox and Shia LaBeouf were making out on the hood of a Camaro while Linkin Park played in the background and Optimus Prime gave a non-ironic speech about the positive nature of humanity. Like that's we've been slowly going downhill since 2007. We really have. Also, did anybody else think it was weird that they're making out on the hood of Bumblebee? It's just a little weird. Like, does that not make Bumblebee a little bit uncomfortable to have 2 human beings making out on him? I'm just saying.
Maybe not.
Just seems a little weird. We are down to Patrick McNeely.
This one says they went to see the Titanic for the experience, but instead they got the U-boat experience. What is U-boat?
They got the full Titanic experience.
Yeah.
What's U-boat?
U-boat is like it's a German submarine.
Oh, okay.
There have been many stories in movies and pop culture about sunken U-boats that are full of like treasure. Like the White Collar did. The first 2 seasons of White Collar, the arc is about them looking for a U-boat filled with Nazi plundered art.
Oh, well, he ends this comment with, "In all seriousness, my condolences."
Yeah,
to their families.
Absolutely.
Urashima Otaru.
Yep.
This one. Extreme tourism is nothing new. Safaris, mountain climbing.
I guess it's just more technology based now than it was before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's getting more and more extreme.
Let's do one more from Call Me Snow Possum. I don't pronounce the O, and then we will move on.
Yo, Angel is a PDF file. He was 241 years old, and Buffy is 16 when they were kissing. Still like the show, though.
Yeah, but let's be fair. Like, if she was 18 and he was 241 years old, is that really any different? Like when you're 241 years old, it's all wrong, right? Unless you're like making out with somebody that's 240 years old, maybe then you're fine. Or it's like,
what if you were frozen in ice for 200 and
like Cap, like Captain America, right? Like there's a lot of like, doesn't True Blood have similar situations, or the originals, or all of these shows? There, it's
all the vampires,
or Twilight. Twilight. Yeah. They're all PDF files.
I feel like being frozen is perhaps more likely than getting to make out with a real vampire.
Yes. All right, let's hold off on the rest. We will come back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about J.K. Rowling ever so quickly, shall we? She got in.
Do it.
I figured this would excite you.
Oh, yeah.
You're a fan, are you?
Well, I mean, I think J.K. Rowling has used her voice in really positive ways, and Basically just said a lot of things that a lot of people are thinking and consider common sense.
Have you read the statement that she made?
I think I did see the post shared. I follow JK on Twitter, so I see her posts occasionally.
I wonder if she's ever in like this is so off the topic. Like, do you think she ever do you think her and JK Simmons ever like double check to see who comes up first, like in searches? Like, obviously I think she does. I think she's the bigger name than JK Simmons, but because R comes before S, so you know they're in a forever battle. So this is her statement. She says, "Cis is ideological language signifying belief in the unfalsifiable concept of gender identity. You have a perfect right to believe in unprovable essences that may or may not match the sexed body, but the rest of us have a right to disagree and to refuse to adopt your jargon." She's never afraid to share her thoughts. And then Elon Musk says, exactly. He says, yeah, of course, that's true. I think that at this point she like wakes up every day and she's like, let's get into this. Like, I think she likes to start these discussions with people.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with what Elon's saying. I think people should have thicker skin than care about whether someone calls you cis on Twitter. Like, I don't care if someone calls me cis. I don't consider it a slur. I think it's stupid, but I don't think it's a reason to ban someone.
I don't want to be called cis.
But I don't think that's a reason to ban that person.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what he was saying, that he would ban someone for using the term rather for constant and repeated harassment.
I mean, then how do you contextualize harassment there then? Like you'd have to figure out between.
There was a post, I can't remember what account it was from, but it came before this, and someone had posted about this word and then just gotten a bunch of comments saying like sissy, but like cis.
Yeah, I saw Styx talked about it today.
Just like a bunch of harassing comments, and that was, I believe, when Elon first commented like cis is considered a slur on this platform.
Do you believe? Okay, so here's what some of the people that responded for. This is my favorite one. It says. Have you considered just being kind? As we all know, anybody who says that or has that in their profile is the least kind person in the history of the world.
Without fail.
There is nobody there's nobody more likely to call you an awful name than somebody who says it costs nothing to be kind in their profile.
Yeah. I think it's really as simple as you have free speech, but so does everyone else. And when you start to force particular language on others, that is taking away their free speech.
But that's allowing somebody else to say that isn't saying that you have to say the
It's also interesting to me that a group of people who demand that we respect what they want to be called will call people something that they do not identify with and do not want to be called.
Well, I mean, like I said, I guess I just take it as the thing where like all I can control is my response, and they can call me that. It's no skin off my back to just ignore them, but I understand the inclination to not want that. There's a $20 super chat from Francisco Sanchez Jr. He says, modern Hollywood writers lack historical context for writing interesting female characters. The templates are there. Ripley, Sarah Connor, Foxy Brown. Heck, 70s martial arts movies where the lady boss kicked butt. He's not wrong. Like, I still have my list here of like television shows and movies with strong female characters. Television has been doing it very well for a very long, was doing it very well for a very long time. There is an argument to be made that a lot of times what they did is like, she's great in her job, but her personal life is a mess. Like, that's always the trope. And that's fine, because that can be real. That's actually something people identify with. You can be a titan at work. You can have a great job. You can be number one in your field and come home to an empty house or a family that's in shambles. I think that's a uniquely human experience that everyone can identify with. That's why the trope works so well, right? All right. So do you believe that it should be banned? The term should be banned?
No, but I mean, I don't think that hateful terms should necessarily be banned. I actually would rather know if someone's gonna try to call me that, like sometimes free speech works in the way that you find out you don't align with someone and you don't want to support them too, or whatever it may be, follow them, interact with them. But I feel like when people use this term, it's an attempt to make people like a subcategory of something that they are to validate people who identify as transgender. And I don't think that's my responsibility to do that.
Yeah. Kind of like calling somebody a billionaire so that you can be mean to them and call them.
They use it as a way to diminish whatever you have to say in a conversation.
Yeah, like, oh, you're just a cis person.
Yeah.
And
so your opinion has no value here.
Maybe I don't care because as a cis white male, like I've got so many things working against me in that discussion. The cis part doesn't even matter. Yeah. Like it's like you're this and this. Like I'm already like in the red to them, so it doesn't really matter to me. There's a $20 super chat from Deuce Boogaloo says, I'd rather have a 100% free speech Twitter, but if there's going to be hate speech restrictions, they should at least be politically neutral and include the slurs the left uses too, like this word against the sane and non-mutilated. Okay.
I mean, I think they have guidelines regarding what words can and cannot be used, but this is Elon saying this like for the first time, perhaps. Yeah. Or at least the first time it's like blowing up on the internet.
So this is what another person said to her. They said, the hypocrisy of an author who uses words to tell stories, then rejects a word used as an adjective for 30 plus years, then wants her followers to do the same, one user wrote. I mean, for 30 plus years, where 27 of them were at Ivy League colleges maybe, but not in the general lexicon.
Yeah, I definitely didn't hear this word growing up, but I don't know. I think it's silly. I think it's really ridiculous. I think that it is ideological language, and I think it's an ideology.
No, it's absolutely
that
ideological
we should
language.
Reject if we want sanity in our society. And I've seen how it plays out when it goes into real life situations, and I think it's wrong.
Do you think that this is one of those things that she can't help but get involved in these discussions because it's become, I worry sometimes
like
that
she's known for it now.
Yeah, like I worry sometimes that I'm just like, you know, when you've made that much money and you don't need to do anything else, I guess if you feel that passionately about it.
I think she does feel passionately about it.
No, absolutely.
Because everyone who speaks up about this stuff goes into it knowing that there's going to be people slamming them on the internet. They don't speak up because they want to. They speak up because they feel a need to.
You don't do it on a whim because the repercussions are too severe.
That's part of it. Although for the most part, repercussions, at least in my experience, have been just online bullies. But that is incredibly intimidating and scary to a lot of people. Yeah. And then some people fear other things, like they could lose their job or be doxxed, whatever it may be. Like
Taylor Swift fans reaching out to yell at a journalist for not liking a Taylor Swift concert more than a Beyonce concert.
Yeah.
Like, look, it's for me, like for her, she's funny when she does it too, because she's got her FU money, so she can be clever with these people. But like, I'm starting to I really like her TV series, the TV series that she has based on the books Cormoran Strike, the CB Strike series. And I saw politics start to like wheedle its way into like the third series of the books, and I didn't like that. So it's like I would rather she like keep the politics out of the art and keep it in the real world, right? Mm-hmm. But I worry that if it becomes too all-encompassing, that hopefully it won't affect her work, because it actually did become like one of the last Cormoran Strike books ended up being a story about somebody speaking up about something on the internet and then getting doxxed, and then like it was very very ripped from the headlines, and that to me feels like your real life bleeding so far into the art. Like it's okay if it inspires the art, but sometimes it can bleed in so far.
It's too one-to-one.
Exactly. Like there isn't enough nuance there. Mm-hmm. I want her to remain nuanced with her art and speak up on the issues that matter.
Yeah, but I appreciate someone who has a bigger platform because of their art.
Yeah.
Using that for something they care about and think's important.
Is there anybody else that you think is like in the public eye? Like who would be the number 2 person speaking up on these issues right now?
Riley Gaines.
Is it that like different of a, like there's nobody even more?
Oh, there's so many. There's so many.
Mainstream?
I just love Riley. But I don't know who do you think?
Evangeline Lilly.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. She and unapologetically too, like even while being a Marvel actor.
Yep. Doesn't give a and not just this, other things too.
Vaccines
and lockdowns, everything. Like
yep. She's like, I made the point. I was like, I think that's why they shaved her head in the latest Marvel movie. Mm. They're like, yeah, sure, you can be a dick to the people we like, but we're gonna make you ugly. She's not ugly, but like they shave her head to like. Yeah. That's actually one of those things that bothers me. They love to like masculinize women's looks in movies now. I hate that. Yeah. I hate, like, even the first time when they gave Scarlett Johansson the short haircut as Black Widow. I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think sometimes thematically it works. Sometimes it doesn't.
It did for her because she was in hiding and it looked like it was she had to change her appearance, but I still hated it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, guys, it's interesting because I don't think Elon would agree with her on most. I think her and Elon would be at ends on a lot of issues.
Look at how gender ideology being rejected is bringing so many people together. Yeah. It's beautiful.
It's like her. She's like, I don't agree with you on any like. I can't imagine that he has the same feelings with her about other such social issues, right? Because
he considers himself a socialist. So does she.
I guess they're both meme lords now. They've both kind of turned into like mimetic people on the internet. But I feel like he's like, I don't think she's ever going and doing something with Babylon Bee.
No, but I don't think he agrees with half of the platform of the Babylon Bee. I think he just enjoys them. And it's for the meme with him.
He follows like a lot of the libertarian meme pages. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, but he considers himself like a socialist.
Well, that's the definition of a champagne socialist right there.
I think it's all right to agree with people on some issues if you don't necessarily align on.
Yeah, no, I think it's great.
I think that that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not. But I would contend that they probably agree on a lot more. They just have a different candor of how they present it, and that would be where they disagree rather than actual policy.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, we got some super chats there.
I'm pulling it back up. Where did we leave off?
DD Megadoodoo 97.
Oh my god, I can never read this name without laughing.
It's okay.
DD Megadoodoo 97. I knew a guy that worked on the Challenger, and he said within less than an hour of the accident, people in NASA were already cracking jokes about it. Also, happy Friday, guys.
The gaslighting is real, guys. They're always trying to gaslight me on the day.
I think it's Thursday today.
Well, that's the gaslighting.
But thank you.
I guess morbid sense of humor comes with a lot of jobs, especially high stress jobs. Like I know cops can be famously very morbid. So,
maybe like a way to cope.
Yeah. Yeah, but the people on the internet are not those people. The people on the internet are just dicks.
Yeah, for sure. They're not actually there. It doesn't impact them.
Because reasons.
If you're worried about someone getting hurt in a mosh pit, you should not be in a mosh pit. Agreed.
And well, I'm saying that guy, he's just carrying around a little bit more weight. He should probably be a little bit more I guess discerning about where he throws himself,
For himself and others.
Yes, for not just for others, but himself as well.
Shane H. Wilder says, wait, is the call-in number not 911? Maybe that's why the cops came to my crib this afternoon. That or the dank memes and talking ish to Bertman.
Man, how does Bertman find the time of day?
I don't know.
I don't know how he finds the time of day
to be a journalist, to lead a cult,
to talk crap on Twitter,
be a loving husband. Like he's amazing.
A model
he's juggling so many things.
A model at multitasking.
Yeah.
Let's do one more.
Inspiration to us all.
Let's do one more and then we will move on. Sketch therapy.
Sketch therapy. Congrats. Please help us fight depopulation ASAP.
That was the.
Is that about?
Yeah.
Oh, we're not married yet, guys.
Bow chicka wow wow is what he said.
There's a bunch of comments in the chat. They're like, "Oh, Taylor's pregnant." I'm not pregnant.
Nor should you ever say that to someone without being 110% sure. Never. Fun fact: never in the history of the world has it ever gone well when somebody says, "Oh, are you pregnant?" That has a 0% success rate.
Oh yeah.
And even when it does work,
why are you
it's a bad
guys
thing.
assuming I'm pregnant? Do I look pregnant?
She does not look pregnant. So, all right, guys, we're moving on.
We're hoping to have I mean, I want to have twins. I hope we have twins one day.
His eyes immediately turned to me. How do you feel about this?
How do you feel about that?
I feel great about it.
We'll save this discussion for another time.
Boys or girls?
I don't even care. I really don't care. I hope we have both.
Both?
Yeah.
Twins, like two sets of twins.
Hope we have a set of twins, a set of triplets.
Oh my.
Sounds expensive.
Sounds expensive.
All right, guys, we're moving on. So this story's kind of crazy. So it says Warner Brothers accused of payola. I love that they used payola in the article. Warner Brothers accused of payola for positive reviews of The Flash. I actually buy this 110%. They're not even talking about the American market. They're talking about the Chinese market here. But given all of the things that random celebrities were saying, like when Tom Cruise is like, it's the greatest superhero movie ever. I'm like, do you even watch superhero movies, dude? Did you see that? When he was saying positive things,
Yep.
I was like, what type of reach around did they give you for your Mission Impossible thing? Where are they going to now come out and promote Mission Impossible? Right?
Maybe.
Is payola like the term used
I guess
for
payout.
paying
Yeah.
for reviews?
Yeah.
So it says DC's long-threatened film adaptation of The Flash debuted this past weekend to average, mostly meh reviews. A very disappointing B cinema score. Is a B really a disappointing cinema score?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
It says, but now it's been widely released. The Flash is going to be a financial catastrophe for Warner Brothers just in time for the anticipated DCU revamp. This reassuring for those who don't believe that the early praise that David Zaslav, James Gunn, and Tom Cruise, Jaden Smith, well, who the hell cares what Jaden Smith thinks about a movie, and Stephen King, among others, had to say about the film. And they get in here. So his name's Gavin Feng, and he's a well-respected Chinese box office reviewer. Right? So he says Warner Brothers China has been widely accused of paying critics and social media influencers for good reviews of The Flash by local audiences over the past weekend. Many people are saying they'll never ever believe any positive reviews and reactions for any WB movie. That's crazy. He also, the guy points out in this article that the American journalist who pointed this out seemed like that was only something that could happen in China and that it wouldn't happen here in America, as if American journalists would be somehow more, what would be the term for that? Have more integrity?
Integrity, yeah.
Yeah, so he says, for the record, local audiences actually like The Flash with an 8 out of 10 Dubin. Is it Duban? Is that what their thing is there? Is that the website that they use? I know they use Weibo for social media. He says it's been criticized by hands, fairs, and trolls, especially just in time for Guardians 3. He says, since no developed critic system, local distributors have strictly controlled critics, even ticket sales, like, and I can't pronounce these words. So do you think this is one of those things that could end up coming here? Like, if this is happening overseas, it's very clearly probably happening here.
I think it happened here first. I just think it wasn't with dollar bills. It was with access.
It's already done through
experience,
access.
yeah, and parties, and like making you feel like you're part of the in-group. Like, I've watched every YouTube channel that I liked talking about movies from 2014 fall into this, where it's like you can't buy a word that they say. Like, it's just, we're doing our next show from the premiere. We're doing it at whatever, it's like, it's just, ugh. And it reeks. Yeah. Well, it is fake.
Yeah.
But they don't hide it well. There's no, and
That's
then
what I mean.
like, and there are people who like the access media. That's why, like, access media,
Access Hollywood.
Access Hollywood is a thing. But for people who are watching it purely from a, I guess, curious standpoint, not like
People who actually want to be informed and
people
give
want to be
critical
informed.
review.
Yeah, thank you. It just rings hollow, and that's why I think that entire like movement has since died, except for maybe one in John Campea, who's but they all, like Collider, it all collapsed. Like all of those things got really big for a while. It's all gone.
I watched Collider in
Yep.
2014, 2015. It was very, very big at the time.
Yep.
It does feel that way, like in a lot of instances. Like I know Clownfish TV has talked about they used to have journalists, like media access to Disney. No more, because if you speak out and you decide to be critical of anything that they make, why would they let you in, right? Like they absolutely want to keep you out, and they own. I mean, these corporations own all these magazines, anyways.
Yeah.
Like Disney is just one company, like that owns a ton of smaller companies underneath it. So you're getting paid press in a different way, right? Like one of my favorites is like when you start seeing the positive articles come out on sites. Like there was one like on New York Post this week. It's like how Ezra Miller went from persona non grata to hero in less than a year. I'm like, who wrote this and how much did they get paid?
Yeah.
Like that's some selling of the morals to be like, this kid who's accused of grooming children and all of these horrible crimes. But I mean, they even sell their morals to be fair.
The one that there was some evidence that came out.
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
too, right? It wasn't just an accusation.
But they'll sell their motives other
Okay.
ways. I've seen positive things about Mel Gibson movies from from sites that hate Mel Gibson because around the time those movies come out, the studio wants them to write something positive about it. Right?
Oh,
So-
we got a couple of super chats, $20.
Yeah, go for it.
They're both from Ballistic Boy. The first one's no comment, but thank you for the super chat. And the second one is Wonder Woman's No Man's Land scene is a great example of feminism done right. Man and women have different strengths and point of views that help society move forward. That scene encapsulates that.
Yeah.
And what's up, Ballistic Boy? Thanks for joining, hanging out.
Yeah.
I met Ballistic Boy.
Did you?
Yeah, he came out when we went out to DC for the meetup.
Oh, awesome.
Filmed some skate footage.
Woo!
Right?
Thank you, guys. Yeah, like when you lean into the strengths.
It's party time.
Sure, it interrupts the show, but it's my joy that people really love, right? That's the smile on my face is enough to excuse the fact that the conversation has gotten interrupted several times over. Yeah, like leaning into the traits that make men and women. Okay, here's an example of it on TV. So in the show Bones, at the start of the show, Emily Deschanel's character was portrayed in the way they show every female character on TV. She was good at martial arts. She could always defend herself and take care of herself. But eventually they realized that what audiences wanted was to watch her be a scientist, and they want to watch the burly, tall David Boreanaz be the one who protects her. Because that leans into how the actual human experience is on the majority, not all the time, but the majority of the time. That speaks to what women might seek in a situation like that and what men would seek to be in a situation like that. So,
What was that slasher film we just watched where like the woman takes over and saves everybody? Well, actually, I think she kills everybody.
Oh, you're next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like it was all right for a slasher film, but
who is the bad guy at the end of Scream 4? The one who plays, I don't remember the actress's name. Jill? I don't remember. So she's tiny. Okay. So you watch the whole of Scream 4 and the ghost face is like 6'3" and extremely mobile and versatile and just really, really strong. And then like when they do the reveal, he's suddenly a foot shorter. And you're just like, nobody's buying this. Like, it just very, very stupid. Didn't need to happen. I forget that actress's name. That's on me. Usually I'm the one who remembers this stuff. If somebody remembers her name in the chat, what was her name in Scream 4? I can't remember.
who does she play?
She plays. I think the character's name is Jill, but I could be
look it up real
misremembering
quick.
that. But it is what it is. Yeah. So like I think you're 110% right. I think access media is actually is a huge part of the problem here, and we've just found a way to subsidize it. These companies have found a way to subsidize.
I haven't seen this, but was it played by Emma Roberts?
Yes.
Okay.
Emma Roberts. She's tiny.
The other thing is that they just hire people they know will write that.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do anything.
Kind of like middle management is going to be the end of all of these companies. Like, can you pinpoint a certain time when you feel like this took over? Was it around The Last Jedi? Not to turn that into discussion, but do you
I think it was around the time of The Force Awakens.
So like when people were like had questions about it, it didn't get the reviews that people thought it did because they thought that remaking episode, they thought that would work, right? And people were like, I have questions. Like, I don't know if you can sustain a new franchise by simply remaking the previous movie.
Yeah, that I would say that's when it started for all of it too, because before that, like Marvel wasn't exactly the juggernaut. That was around the time of like Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Dude, I loved Movie Talk at that time too. OG, I loved AfterBuzz TV.
AfterBuzz TV was good.
I loved Movie Talk. I loved all of those, and it started to go so far downhill. I still remember, like, one of the first times I really started noticing identity politics showing up and stuff like that was like in one of those things, and they were reviewing the show Blind Spot, and one of the reviewers just had this callous reaction. It's like, why are all she was saying, she's like, could we have some people that aren't straight white men being the bad guys once in a while? But she wasn't saying it in a way like because they were straight white. She's saying like, we just need less white people in this. And I was like, like, you know, like that's par for the course now. At
Yeah.
that time, it started to stand out to me more.
One of the things that like indicated how this was happening was Jeremy Johns when he made the move there to join all of those
Yep.
things, and then very shortly after he was like, I'm going back to where I came from.
Yeah.
And
Did he
was
ever explain why?
like, oh yeah, not he implied why. He was like, I like to be able to say the things I want to say.
Yeah.
And what the culture there is like, the culture is like, there's a lot of nice people. I worked with a lot of nice people. He's like, but the culture there is garbage.
Yeah.
I was like, couldn't agree more.
If you can't say what you want to say, what's the point of doing a job where it's about your thoughts on something? Like that, I can't think of a worse place to be trapped for something like that. Like it's like if you're just doing straight news, that's not the same as like journalist who just rewrites articles,
Yep.
right? Like that's I mean that's
so good.
That's a term, but it's not meant to be derogatory. It's like some people's job is just to write up, you know, just the base level facts for a story.
Yep.
There's not a lot of creativity there.
Yeah.
That's fine. But if you're being like, imagine being like, we want to hire you to write op-eds, but then we want to tell you what the hell you're allowed to write an op-ed about. To that degree, like obviously there's oversight for stuff like that for a lot of these sites, but it doesn't sound very fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially if you view what you do as a form of art. I don't know,
It's
man.
just very depressing to watch. Like it is, that entire fall of that has diminished my interest in the subject entirely. Like
In what?
In like this type of media, like
Yeah.
it has, like I loved it. Like I thought that was, you know, it was an industry I wanted to work in.
Yeah.
And it's like just seeing how it is and how it actually is. It's like, never mind.
Do you think it's solely because of access, or do you think it has other implications?
I know it has massive. It's just how.
I mean,
the
I mean implications. Like, do you think it's solely about access, or do you think that there were other things that caused it?
Well, I think it's just a small symptom of how the larger Hollywood industry is run in general. Like none of
Rigidly. With rigid ideological beliefs enforced. You're only allowed to think and believe one way.
That, but also
publicly.
just the like pay to play, like how it's all. There's nothing organic about it. There's no like this movie's doing well because people like it. I just maybe on some level, but it's all of the like hype for things is manufactured. All of the like endorsement deals they have with brands and stuff. It rings so hollow now. Whereas it didn't when I was younger, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that's just the price you pay for growing up and realizing how things work.
Yeah, but it's also worse. It's worse because you are not, like, movies are not making money as much, or they're not successful anymore so much based on their financials, but like attention is now currency for some reason. Like that's why the streaming wars, like they're doomed to fail for everybody because they're competing not so much for dollars but for eyeballs or for the perception of being the best one. Like money is less important, attention is the currency now.
Never trust any, like when Netflix is like the #1 movie on Netflix today, I'm like, according to who? You?
Yeah.
Like why am I like, oh, and it just so happens to be a Netflix original? Shocking. Like, am I supposed to buy that? Like maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but outside of like imminently reportable statistics, why would I care what you tell me is the #1 movie in the world right now? It's like when they have to parse through reviews to come up with it's like riveting on the trailers. It's like riveting garbage, and they just put riveting there. Like,
well, it used to be you'd watch a minute-long preview and make a judgment in that time. I'm interested in seeing this, or I'm not.
Also, they're like, I guess back then, a lot of people talk about how they wish we could go back to news similar to they're like, we need like a Walter Cronkite who just tells you the news. Like, even that's not realistic because what they choose to talk about already denotes what their beliefs are, what they think is important. But like, if we had something that was a media movie version of Walter Cronkite, it would have been Siskel and Ebert. And even then, like not knowing a whole ton about it, I'm sure there's a lot of things that could be said about that, right? Because the Siskel and Ebert lives on, or at least is it Ebert and Roper, and
Ebert
that's
and Roper.
a website now,
Yeah.
beyond just the people who did the reviews. But back then, the world was different, and you saw the world differently. So I don't know. It is what it is. They're in the chat right now. They're making a gay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it's Alex Jones as April O'Neil. Let's go.
Interesting.
Sign me up. All right, let's go to Super Chats. We got some Super Chats to finish up the show.
Where did we leave off?
Let's find it.
Oh, I see. Unusable alpaca. I had my left ear pierced along with tongue and eyebrow. God bless the 90s, early 2000s. I'm with Brett on the plastic utensils. It's the only way to go.
Also, I don't know if unusable alpaca is related or the same person as perturbed alpaca. I've never gotten confirmation on that. They could be different.
They're all part of the alpaca family.
The alpaca pack.
Yeah,
The alpaca
the pack of
pack.
alpacas.
Thanks for that.
Call me Snow Possum.
Call me Snow Possum. 18 is the line, LOL. I think when frozen, your mind and body are still the age you were frozen at, so that's okay. These PDF vampires have experienced hundreds of years of life and should know better. But what is
But they're
that?
vampires. They drink blood. They should know better than that, too.
What do you think they're going to do? Like go to the local old folks home and start picking up chicks
Yeah.
there?
No, I guess, no, he's saying like
I'm
18-year-olds.
not-
Find another vampire.
I'm not trying to defend these fictional PDF
Monsters.
vampires or anything, but what sort of position
Couldn't
does
have
that
just-
put them in?
Couldn't have just aged Buffy up and made her a college girl. They had to make her high school. Thanks,
Buffy
Joss
goes
Whedon.
to college.
Thanks, Joss Whedon.
All right, this one's from Bobcat.
Yep.
Payola is the actual industry term used for using bribes for good reviews or to have DJs play your music. The CIA had a big scandal about this in music. Oh, okay.
Also, the comicbook.com reported that Gavin Feng, who is a Chinese box office expert, claims that Warner Brothers China has been charged with paying Chinese reviewers and social media influencers in exchange for favorable reviews on The Flash. And then he says at the bottom, they kind of say, this is his quote now. He says, freedom of speech isn't exactly something China is known for, so critics struggle to share negative reviews at the best of times. However, what came across as fake praise for The Flash from the aforementioned influencers and critics has soured DC fans and discouraged them from buying tickets to this weekend. Savvy moviegoers, wary of the DCEU after roughly a few years, clearly didn't buy into the possibility The Flash was as good as some people claimed. Well, more than a few years. That's like a decade's worth of being wary. While critics being bought in the U.S. isn't a realistic possibility, we know social media reactions can't be trusted, as those getting to see movies like this one early tend to get caught up in the excitement or are keen to see their names in a TV spot. So he's not acknowledging that it's still the same thing. It's still being bought. You're just being bought differently. Yep. Yep. That guy, I tell you. All right, we got one more there from Call Me Snow Possum. One more time.
Edward and Angel try to betray vampires that have morals, so I'm holding it to them.
Man, I need to go back. Like I'll be honest, guys. The flashback scenes in Angel are rough for me. Like Boreanaz can't do the accent at all. And Julie Benz is great in that show, but the flashback scenes are just a bit rough. When they bring those characters into modern day is when it actually works for me.
We got one more from Unusable Alpaca updating us on the alpaca pack situation. No relation to Perturbed Alpaca. I am keeping an eye on him though. I believe Perturbed to be a CIA psyop plant.
Totally possible. We'd have to do our research and look into it. And then one more from
1,000 Foot Deep End. Hey y'all, sorry I'm late. Can we take it from the top again? You can if you just rewind and start it on over. You won't be live today, but you can watch everything that we talked about. But thank you guys for the super chats.
My blood sugar is crashing. I cannot take it live. Guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? We have passed 63,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for that. Today, Taylor, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Taylor May Silverman or on Twitter at TM Silverman. And yeah, you can go check out Cast Castle. I'm on that show. That's on timcast.com.
Perfect. Wesley.
You can find me on Twitter at Wesley Roth, and at on Instagram at WARoth00.
Perfect. Guys, if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. Pop Culture Crisis is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you'd like to listen to this podcast rather than watch it, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. And if you'd like to follow the show on social media, we're on Twitter at PopCulture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys. Later.
Bye.